We're talking about practice.
We're talking practice. We're reading theory. We are living
reading here. Oh, that doesn't sound very live. It
we're learning.
Sounds a little bit too close to the edge there. How you doing, folks? Are we live?
Hey, everybody. Yo, we're live. Welcome to Live and Learn, the only podcast where everyone reads theory. I'm the soy pill, with me as always, as IRI, Pisco Hutch.
Oh my God.
And special guest. Oh, and Pisco's gone again. And special guest, Jose Can You See? Welcome, Jose.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys. So much appreciated.
Jose, tell us about yourself. Who are you, and why the hell did we invite you?
First of all, I don't know why you guys invited me, but I've been on Twitter since 2008. Started doing this just as a way of expressing myself because I felt like I just wanted to talk. Started my Twitter account in 2008. Then I went into TikTok about 2 years ago, went on Instagram, and I guess I got noticed by a few people. I got invited by the White House a few times to go out to the VP residence, was a creator at the DNC. So it's been kind of interesting because this is not something that I do full time. I have a regular job. I'm just an ordinary citizen, but I guess my content landed in front of the right eyes.
I beg to differ. Ordinary citizens don't have creepy Hillary Clinton masks on their walls.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Is
a little weird.
I was going to ask about that. There, what's the story on that?
She's the GOAT for me. And one day I was throwing a housewarming party, and one of my teammates from softball showed up in that mask. Because he knows how much I love Hillary, and so I've kept it ever since.
Hell yeah!
Damn. Unapologetic Hillary fan. I love it, bro.
Absolutely.
You are a unicorn on left-wing Twitter, by the way. But
I know. Trust me, I hear about it every day. But you got to have thick skin, and that's what I have.
So I don't really remember how I found your Twitter account, but I feel like I've been following you for years. And correct me if I'm wrong, but were you there on inauguration night in 2016? Like, you've been directly involved in actual kind of political work, right? Or campaign work or advocacy for a decade now, or
advocacy, not directly affiliated with campaigns, but I was invited to go to the 2016 at the Jacob Javits Center because it was just blocks away from where I lived at the time. But I didn't go because I'm very superstitious on election day, and I just like to isolate until all the returns are in, and I didn't go. And I'm glad I didn't go because I'd probably be crying, and I'd probably be a meme right now, just like that one where you see that person crying with the beanie and the glasses.
The most vindicated woman of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah, she really was a voice for a generation.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your politics? Like, what drives you in your political advocacy? Why do you vote the way that you do? Why do you like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden? And
Sure. Well, the way I got started initially was my parents are very political. My dad was a Reagan Republican, and he basically told me as a young kid, he's like, never vote Republicans. They're fucking liars. Don't do it. Just vote Democrat all the way. So I did that. So the first person I voted for ever was Bill Clinton in his second term in '96. That was the first time I ever voted. And I was just voting to vote, not realizing why I was voting. So I said, you know what, let me try to figure out if it makes sense for me to vote this way. And that sort of got started after the Iraq War. Once I started seeing, because in my mind, I felt that George Bush was telling us that there were WMDs in Iraq. That's what I heard. And then when I started looking at all the speeches, he didn't actually say that, but he was leading everyone to believe that's what was going on. And so then I started understanding how they craft speeches, how they omit, and that's really why I got into it. And as I started doing more and more research, I started realizing that I was really in line with the liberal side, the Democratic side of the party. And I also like taking pragmatic approaches. There's nothing wrong with trying to go more left, but what I don't like is when folks just look at that and not realize that we have a whole half-ass of the country that really just wants to pull us, that is okay going in an authoritarian side of it. Like that's where I have a difficult time reconciling how you can just kind of like piss away an opportunity to win.
So our timelines overlap quite a bit. My first election that I could vote in was, I think, 2004, but I do recall like the 2000 election. So similar kind of timeline. I became political and started to form opinions around the time of September 11th and then leading into the Iraq War. And so the lesson that I learned early in my adulthood when it came to political engagement was that the difference between a Republican and a Democrat losing could be the difference between, not invading a sovereign country like Iraq and killing hundreds of thousands of people and displacing millions of people, or, we could have had like Al Gore. And that's a very different lesson than I think a lot of young people today are being taught through their social media engagement. We hear a lot about like the ratchet effect. And so there's this interpretation of the 21st century that sort of describes a Democratic Party that has just moved more and more to the right. But I feel like when you're, our age, you might be a little bit older than me.
I am.
We know for a fact that the party has moved significantly to the left of the Clinton years.
Yep.
And it's just not even close. Like, it's pretty ridiculous how far they've moved left on a number of issues. And so, yeah, I wonder if you feel that same kind of clash that I do when you look at young left-wing commentary on TikTok and Twitter and social media.
I do, because when I look at the entire scope of my voting history and the candidates that have been before me, especially during the presidential elections, to your point, Joe Biden has been the most progressive president. Now, folks on the left are going to laugh when they hear that, but he has been to the left of every other Democratic president before him, and that's a testament to the progress we've made. And the fact that we allowed Donald Trump to get back in there because we felt that Joe Biden wasn't doing enough. And then in the middle of his reelection campaign, folks decided that, hey, you know what we should do? We should really make it very well known and very public that we are not happy with the only person to ever defeat Trump, the only person to ever get as many votes as he did in the history of US elections, and have him step down. I thought that really showed how weak the Democratic Party is. It obviously didn't fare well in the election, having Kamala Harris come in for 107 days. I think she's great. She was my first choice in the 2020 Democratic primary, and I was lobbying for her to be the VP pick. But to switch horses midstream, I thought was a catastrophic mistake. But again, going back to your question, I really don't think people really appreciate how much further left the party has gone. And even polling shows that people who identify as conservatives, they used to rock with the Democratic Party more than they do now. That because they see it. Conservatives absolutely see it. But for whatever reason, folks that are on the left fringe refuse to acknowledge it.
Do you still maintain that, Jose? Like that Biden shouldn't have dropped out? I think that's a pretty excuse my French. I think that's
I told him it can get. I told him it can get spicy. So.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, please. I'm an inner kid city. I'm an inner city kid from New York, so I'm good.
I agree with everything you said about Biden being the most progressive. I call him in my lifetime the best president we've had.
Same.
And so I have no problem giving Biden his credit where it's owed. And I think, frankly, there's a lot of revisionism on the border, on a lot of what was happening internationally that isn't fair to Biden. But like, the dude made a huge error in not stepping down earlier. And I think that when he stepped out, when he did, that was to the betterment of the Democratic Party. And if Biden had been the nominee, we would have gotten even more fucked. Why do you think that that's not the case?
It's not that I don't think it's not the case. I think it's important to show strength and not kneecap the best president that we've had in my lifetime, in your lifetime. I think it's important to do that because the Republicans aren't kneecapping Donald Trump. He was indicted on 34 counts. He was criminally convicted, and they did not wince once. Joe Biden had a ton of successes in his first term, and Democrats could not get their shit together and prop this man up. Instead, what they were eager to do is to show concessions that he was weak. And I don't understand. Even folks like James Talarico will tell you, like, Joe Biden failed us on the border. Why are we making concessions to a party that refuses to make any concessions on when it comes to their guy? And their guy is a lot more flawed than anything Joe Biden has on him.
Guy, jump in, because I think you and Guy are going to be good friends here.
Well, it's interesting that the first two people to come to Biden's defense after his poor debate performance were Bernie and AOC. So I'm with you, Jose. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of let's defend our man here. But I'm curious, Jose. I think if there was even a 10% chance of Biden having that debate performance for whatever reason, he shouldn't have ran for re-election. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I do believe that if he wasn't, I don't believe he should have ran. He should have been what he said he was going to be, a transitional president, and do that. However, I also think that we missed the big picture when if he did declare, once he declared, I was like, okay, shit, he's in it now, whatever. What I thought was going to happen is he was probably going to serve 2 years, step down, hand it over to Kamala Harris. That's what I thought was going to happen. That's really what I was what I would place all my money on. But the fact that he decided to run was definitely, I think, an error, and he shouldn't have. But once he was in it, I think everyone should have just been all hands on deck and supported the guy. And to your point, with respect to,
but they were for the longest time. They were even when it was a mistake. They were. I mean, until that debate performance, there was whispers and whispers, but there was no major candidate to try to challenge him, even though it was a mistake to run. And I, again, all the caveats, all the throat clears about Biden, but he promised to maintain the soul of this country and to protect it. And he didn't, in the end, complete that promise because I think that he materially led to the rise of Trump 2.0 by not stepping down. And if you read about the accounts about how that decision was made, it wasn't even really a decision. They fell into it. And the American people deserved better from our leader in that moment.
I think when it comes to the debate performance, there were a lot of milestones that Joe Biden had to hit. They kept saying Joe Biden has to do this. If he does this, he's good. Once he did that, then he had to do this. And then finally, the debate performance is the one that got him. It was a poor debate performance. That's for sure. And he shouldn't have ran. However, that poor debate performance shouldn't have overshadowed the fact that Donald Trump told like 200 and something lies that whole time. So why is it that one poor performance from an elderly, well-meaning gentleman who is the president, who we both say is the best president of our lifetime, why does that performance suddenly overshadow the fact that he's running against a convict?
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. But
Pisco, what about the internal polling that the Democrats had that showed, hey, like this is going to be disastrous for us. This is not going well, and they made the practical decision to try to replace him with someone that would have worked better. And yeah, it didn't work out. With hindsight, we could see that. But if you look at the polling in the weeks following his stepping down, that was like the one moment where people were excited, and there might have been like a hey, we can actually do this moment. So like, do you just disagree with that like decision because you think doubling down would have ultimately played better, or that they just shouldn't have done it on principle?
I don't think they should have done it. I think they should have done it. He should have stayed the course on principle alone, and I think Democrats should have just stayed propping him up. I think we should have just been just as stubborn as the Republicans, whether that meant that we would have bled more House seats, more Senate seats, then so be it. But we would have shown strength. I don't think coming out against the way the Democrats did, especially because it wasn't even a private conversation, at least at the very minimum, it should have been a backdoor conversation where they just talked to Joe Biden and just said, hey, you have to step down. What we started seeing is a snowball effect of folks putting out letters, putting out statements where they were just kneecapping the guy, and eventually he had no choice but to step down.
I think that's not a show of strength. I think that's like trying to gaslight the country into thinking a dementia, guy falling apart in front of everyone's eyes is like still doing okay. I just don't see how that would have worked out for
come
us
on.
in the good.
Come on, well, you don't really think that he had dementia?
No, not actually dementia, but a failing brain. He was not all there.
No, I don't even. And listen, I mean, he was aging, but when you look at the track record of his administration,
I didn't say he didn't do a good job. I'm just saying there's no way you can hold that guy up in front of the public and say everything is fine.
Don't forget that he sat down for a 5-hour interview with the special counsel when it came to that special investigation.
The Her report, yeah.
Right, the Her report. And he said, Joe Biden comes across as a well-meaning guy whose memory, lapses every now and then, but he sat down with the guy for 5 hours and answered questions. I don't think anyone
he didn't do so hot in those interviews, man.
Well, hold on. As per Jill's compliments, he answered every question.
Well, but hold on a second. I think this is exactly what Jose is talking about. It's like we're focusing on these little things instead of like
Right.
the giant policy that he passed that was so profound and helpful. Like, I think I was going to ask you, Jose, when you say the Democrats let him down, are you like, does that include the rank and file? Because I feel like we have a responsibility to take what these nerds do in Congress and promote it and market it and sell it like the Republicans do. Because Trump is a mess, but goddamn, they shine that turd to make it look amazing what he's doing.
They're not doing so great right now.
I think the Democrats that signed off on that letter for Joe Biden to pass the torch, I think they're the ones who let us down. There were folks that really surprised me, as you mentioned before. AOC was one of them. AOC really stuck by him. Bernie stuck by him. Jasmine Crockett stuck by him even after the debate performance. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, these are real, true ride or die folks. Like, I can fuck with them. But anyone else who kind of like winced at the slightest thing, especially when he had such a great record with the Chips and Science Act, with the Biden infrastructure bill, with everything that he's done. How could we not just talk about all the successes that he accomplished in such a short time with such a divided Congress?
So,
it was razor thin margins.
I can't believe you're just sitting by, Hutch. I mean,
I'm about to jump in. Hang on.
I just want to lay it out. Jose just said, notwithstanding the effects in down ballot races from the House, notwithstanding the effect of. So I just want to make it clear for the audience.
I remember it. Let me speak.
Wait, no, I want to state it out loud. So notwithstanding the effect on down ballot races in the Senate and House, we should have stuck with Biden. That's crazy, isn't it, Hutch? Okay. That's against your own view.
I was literally about to jump in. Jesus,
I know. I just wanted to put it out there.
All right, listen. You're my boy, Pisco. I love you. You're my boy.
Yeah.
So I'm with you conceptually. Like, I think I want to live in a country where people value his legislative accomplishments, his administrative accomplishments. Like, these things to me they do matter more than the fact that he had lost a step. And I think that should matter to more people. I guess my thinking goes to, we just don't live in that country. And so I guess I don't have the kind of loyalty that you are espousing here. Like, I think once a politician outlives their usefulness in terms of like their political career, then you should cut them immediately and not feel bad about it. I appreciate your ride or die sentiment. And there's a part of me that really likes that energy. And I think that the country would be a lot better off if more people had that energy. But I use that same logic, for example, maybe we can segue, because I know you have strong opinions about the Crockett race. And I look at the Crockett race kind of the same way, where, I don't like the fact that James Talarico and Graham Plattner and a lot of other left-wing populists are sort of throwing the Biden administration under the bus. However, I do view it as kind of necessary in a state like Texas. Like, a candidate like Talarico, who is running on a much less partisan kind of platform in order to appeal to potential crossover voters in Texas. I think that's just smart strategy. I don't like that Graham Plattner is like trashing the party in Maine and with these like fireside chats. But I think that that's probably like the right move strategically right now. Do you think about politics in a kind of Machiavellian way ever, or is it about loyalty for you?
It depends. So with respect to what happened with Joe Biden, since he announced that he was going to run for re-election, I don't think he should have, but the fact that he was in it, I think it weakens us to cut him down. I don't think it's a good reflection on the party to say, look, this guy is so weak. I can't believe he's going to run again. Let's just swap somebody in and not have a primary. They had a primary at the DNC. And no one challenged it. I get that there was a process in place, but that's how people saw it. So I really think that really weakened us as a party. Now, with respect to whether Kamala Harris helped to us, for Democrats to keep more seats, it's a valid argument, and I agree that she definitely did. But at this point, I'm just like, we should have just done everything we could to help Joe Biden get reelected at that point, since he was
Biden betrayed us. I mean, I respect Biden, his accomplishments, his administration, but there is not a requirement for us, Democratic rank and file, for the Democratic establishment to like go down with the ship when Biden betrayed us. The act of not having a real thought out process on whether or not we should run again, that was fundamentally a betrayal. And I actually resent Joe Biden a lot for that, because I see him as at least partially causally responsible for what we're seeing now. Now, that doesn't take away the massive amount of respect I have for his administration, for his honor and many other facets of his public life, which I respect tremendously. But I just can't hang on to this notion that even now, looking back, we should have stuck with him. Even, now that we know that he has stage 4 cancer, I don't know that I'm not saying that he was hiding it back then, but the guy is frail. The American people weren't convinced. 78 plus 80% of all voters, and even among Democrats, majorities thought that he wasn't up for a second term because he wasn't.
Wait,
And it was the right decision to drop out.
You can't say he was possibly hiding his stage 4
I didn't know.
cancer.
I said the opposite. I'm not saying that.
Okay, but even putting that out there is crazy to, I hope you're not doing that.
No, I'm not. I literally just said
Okay.
in retrospect, looking at him and his health challenges, and now that we know that, in retrospect, at the very least, that he had cancer, at least he has cancer, that this is a guy who was old. And it's not the first time, by the way, that Biden has had cancer, and that he was frail, and the American people saw it, and they saw it not just after that debate performance, which was that was insane to watch. And we can absolutely agree with Jose, and Jose, I totally do, that I would vote for Joe Biden if he was comatose and I knew he would die tomorrow. I would vote for Joe Biden if... Go ahead.
Why do you disagree with AOC and Bernie, who came out right out the gate and supported him? Full throat defense. Biden's our guy. We're going to win this.
Well, they
were
gave
delusional.
hang on. She did a 2-hour IG live stream where she talked about all the reasons. There were a lot of logistical hurdles that were completely legitimate that she brought up. She worried about her ability to secure support among labor organizations and unions. She worried about Kamala's approval rating. She worried about her ability to, secure the confidence of the donors and, secure the support from the delegates. I mean, all of these things were very, very valid concerns. You can't call that delusional.
No, the overall calculation. No, yeah, of course it would be messy. Of course it would result in where is this money going that's already been raised? Can you use it for someone else's campaign? What will it look like? Of course it will be messy. That's just priced in, though. The guy couldn't continue. The internal pollings were absolutely shocking. I mean, we would have seen probably New Hampshire, New Jersey turn
Minnesota.
red. I mean, this is that would be a nightmare. And think about where we would be now. I mean, we would be in no position.
But why do you think AOC and Bernie got it so wrong then?
Because I think that in that moment, I think that they were concerned that their ideological counterparts within the Democratic establishment would, coronate someone that they didn't think was up to the task, maybe Kamala Harris or maybe some other person that they didn't align with, or maybe they genuinely thought that. But I just think that it was the wrong calculus. It was the wrong calculus then, in the polls, I think, bear that out. And the American people's judgment, I think, should have been trusted there.
I think
it was too.
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I honestly think, and I don't have anything to verify this. This is my headcanon. I think it was to avoid the criticisms that Bernie got in 2016, where
and that's possible too.
It's held out so long for a concession that they partially blamed him for the loss. They didn't want to be seen as you're driving internal party division. You're sabotaging our candidate. Now, of course, once it became clear that the party was going to make him step down, I think maybe they should have switched. But I think that was a gut reaction from them to avoid that criticism.
Wait, real quick. Jose, could you do me a favor? Was that? I think we're hearing your dog, maybe.
Yeah,
sorry. A shock collar or Christy Nome?
Yeah, I don't have a shock collar on my dogs. I'm so sorry.
If you go to settings at the bottom of the screen, you go to audio.
Okay.
Do you have noise suppression checked?
Let's see. No, but I'm trying to. It's not letting me.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe it does. Oh,
I think I heard something different. Try talking.
I think he muted him. No, he muted himself now.
Oh, there we go. Is that better?
We don't hear your dog, but you have to tell us about your dogs now.
Okay. They're adopted. They're adopted. They don't get shocked. So, yeah.
Okay, great. That's all I need to know. Well, as much as I would love to litigate, Guy, you want to keep going with it?
I just want to say I never thought Biden committed to not running for a second term. Maybe I missed it, but
He didn't. He definitely did not. He said he was
Yeah,
going
he
to be a
didn't.
transitional president.
Yeah.
Those were the words he used. For some reason, people understood that to mean that he was going to not run a second term, but he never made that promise. Never.
So
Yeah.
there was one
Mhm.
Axios article where there was some background reporting that, you know, a few people that worked with Biden's campaign claim that he had told them that he had an intention to run one term, but every time he was ever asked the question, both during the campaign and during the early stages of his presidency, people would ask him, like, do you intend on running again? Because the old discourse was already happening back then. And he every single time he said, look, my intention is to run again, but I'm not going to, you know, make any announcements just yet.
Yeah, mine is not. My assessment is not based on any kind of promise that Biden broke. I mean, he broke that with his pardoning of his son, but we'll put that to the side. Mine has to do with his capacity for the job and the assessment about whether to run for a second term. And we know, by the way, that in his like last year of governing, he like didn't even have cabinet meetings. I mean, the guy was disengaged from a lot of domestic policymaking and seemed to be sort of enraptured by foreign policy. And you know what? I'm fine. Presidents, you know, they designate people to run policy and they you know, pick personnel as policy. No problem with that whatsoever. But in general, I do think that that was a fault there, and we need to acknowledge that. That's what makes us different than Trump. And I think we need to be more ruthless and strong. But I don't think we need to be like just dying on the ship of Biden, but while acknowledging obviously like Trump is so corrupt and way worse, and Biden's administration was good.
Well, I want to challenge your idea that Biden wasn't involved. The 2023, we had the debt ceiling fight that Kevin McCarthy said he was actively involved. I mean, then the next year we had the bipartisan border bill. So I don't know. You know, the Republicans were in control of the House, so it wasn't really much you could do. But I want to ask you, Pisco, do you not think Biden could have continued to be president for 4 more years? I mean, the results were there. Whether he was personally as involved as possible, he put the right people in place that were delivering results.
Oh, I'm going to trigger so many people right now.
Couldn't be president for another 4 years?
I'm going to trigger so many people right now because I'm going to ask you what you mean by could. You mean like could he like finish out the term or be more effective than Trump? Yes, obviously be way more effective than Trump. He wouldn't be corrupt as Trump. He wouldn't be destroying our country. And so yeah, he could do the job way better than Trump is doing the job. But you need to tell me what you mean by the question.
Trump.
Then Ira.
No, not comparing him to Trump. I'm just saying, I think Biden could have been in a medically induced coma, and they wake him up for 10 minutes a day, and he communicates via blinks, and he would have done a great job running this country.
Then I agree, he could have done the job. That's what you mean? Yes, he could have.
But I think he would have achieved results. I think we would have kept going on this route, and we would have done just fine.
I totally agree with that. My argument is an electoral one. That's it. But sorry to get we started in like a debate thing, but it's just something I feel very strongly about because I feel like that sours so much of Biden's legacy for me this second term, man. And I really do. I look at Kamala Harris and I honestly, I'm proud of her and that she was given a really rough spot, and I don't envy her position. I think Joe Biden is responsible for the position she was in.
Okay, well, this is a good segue because we spent about 30 minutes relitigating the last election. We should talk about the next election because there was a bit of a cycle of drama this last week. And Soy Pill, you've been too quiet, so why don't we kick it off with you, and then Jose, you can follow him up. Like, what are your thoughts on the I refuse to commit to voting for Newsom over Vance in 2028 general?
Yeah, I mean, we had the debate about it on Monday last week, and it's just so crazy to me because there's all these like mutually exclusive arguments being thrown around where, hey, these two people are exactly the same. We've got Hitler and we've got also Hitler from the Democrats. Also, I think Hitler should try to court my vote, and if Hitler can't court my vote, it's like, well, you're never gonna fucking vote for Hitler. You think it's Hitler, right? But let's just say it was possible. Like, what do you need them to do? And it's like, oh, well, they need to do exactly what I want. And if they don't, I'm going to pretty much tell my millions of people audience not to vote for that person. Like, so this all started off that hypothetical question. Hey, if it was Gavin Newsom and JD Vance, who would you vote for? And the two other people on that, what was it? I've Had It. Is that the podcast?
Jennifer Welch and
Austin
from the Austin show.
I keep wanting to call him H-Rock, and I've literally met both of them in real life, and I can't tell the difference. All white people look the same to me. But yeah, they both are immediately like, yeah, obviously JD Vance. I'd drag my balls through like a glass to vote for that guy or Gavin Newsom to stop JD Vance. And Hassan's like, oh, third party, it doesn't matter. But so I don't know. It's just so frustrating that it's like, oh, what do you mean? We can't litigate this before the primaries? Like, yeah, you can. But the hypothetical is, Do you want to stop JD Vance? And your answer is no. I don't think it matters. And this is driving voter apathy. And people point to Gaza and all these other things in the last election of like what lost the election. There's tons of factors, but you look at all these studies they bring up, and the biggest thing is voter apathy. And a lot of that has to do with the Democrats not inspiring people, but a lot of that is people going out and saying, you know what, it doesn't matter. It's the same. Both parties are the same. Nothing you do matters. And that fucking pisses me off because it does fucking matter. We're living in the consequences of the last election. We're living in the consequences of 2016. And if you don't go fucking vote, you're doing a disservice to your entire country and me and my family. Go fuck yourself. Please come out and canvass with us in November. Someone else take over. I'm mad.
Jose, what are your thoughts? You got called out by name. Actually, I watched Hassan's 2-hour meltdown, and he pulled you up on his stream. And
oh, did he?
You didn't see that? You didn't see
that? No,
I
I do not watch him. The only time I see it is when I'm forced to on Twitter. Whenever I see his clips on Twitter.
Yeah, bro. No, he pulled you up on stream and was I can't remember in what context. I think he was basically alleging to the fact that you're maybe a little bit older than him. But I don't know if he knows, because I was telling my stream that you post like gym fucking topless selfies all the time, and you are fucking ripped. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he knows.
Whoa! More than me?
Son feels jealous. He's jealous. Because Sonch will like regularly sexually harass Loypel with his ass.
Let's do a fucking push-up contest right now, dude.
I'll win for sure. But it's what we can.
He probably thinks you're some chorus shill or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think about Hassan and his criticism of you?
They all think I'm a chorus shill. I am not affiliated with chorus. I'm just me. The only money I make is from the engagement I get from my content. That's it. But as far as Hassan Piker goes, I don't think about him much, except when he says really stupid shit. So that's often. But the fact that he answered a hypothetical question, got shit for it. I don't even know why he's answering a hypothetical question, because the person who's at the top of the polls right now is Kamala Harris. She's the one with the name recognition. But he answered the hypothetical question, and then he said he would vote for an unknown third-party candidate. And at the same time, he doesn't offer who he actually would support. That is never at the tail end of the conversation. It's always like, do not vote for this Democrat. Do not vote for them because they are this, they are that. But they never tell us who they would rather support. They don't try to build a coalition of voters. They don't try to advocate for the candidate that they would rather push. Mind you, no one has declared that they're going to be running. No one has on the Democratic side. So
but we know already. I mean, it's Ro Khanna's gearing up to do it. Like Gavin Newsom, like these people wouldn't be like, wow, I'm just a measly California governor, but I'm visiting South Carolina because I just like it here. It's like, no, they're spreading their roots. They're making the connections. Like we can kind of tell it's going to be like between at least Newsom, Gavin, Mark Kelly, and then a hodgepodge of other candidates in there are very, very likely. Like I'd be surprised if they weren't.
Well, I'm calling it. It's going to be Kamala Harris. That's who's going to be the nominee. That's where I'm landing. So the hypothetical should be, would you vote for Kamala Harris or JD Vance? Either way, it's a hypothetical. I mean, the fact that he would vote for an unknown third-party candidate without knowing anything about them, him or her, I just think speaks volumes about what a moron he is.
I agree that the nominee is likely at this point in time right now. And of course, like the whole landscape can shift. There can be a seismic shift. And then of course you would probably like update your analysis, but I agree with you that the most likely candidate right now is Kamala Harris. And I get so much shit from my audience and from other people's audiences when we do these podcast episodes. But, a lot of these 2028 Democratic primary hopefuls are, for whatever reason, not including her. And so, Gavin Newsom's been at the top of all those polls, but in every single poll that I've seen so far that includes her, she's at the top of the list.
Right.
Now,
she's one, he's two.
Newsom is rising. Like he's definitely done a really good job of getting his name out there, and he's positioned really well as governor of California because he can flex his ability to do big stuff as governor of a state with a supermajority blue legislature. So he can, tell the state assembly or the state legislature, exactly, to put a measure to the voters to change the Constitution to like fight Trump in that way. And what Democratic Party primary voters or the base right now are saying is that they value above anything else is that fight. And so he just has that huge advantage. But yeah, I have some other thoughts, but let some other people jump in here. Peace go, guy.
I want I want some of the people in the chat to chill the hell out. Jose and Hutch are just looking at the polls and making a descriptive claim about what is likely, and you guys are losing. You're just like, fuck off. Like, are you emotional babies? You can't like look at a poll and say, yeah, according to the polls, she's leading the polls. Are you stupid? Are you that emotional? You can't just say, hey, I wouldn't like that if it were the case, instead of attacking Hutch and Jose for just reading polls. And I don't want Kamala to be the nominee, to be honest with you, for reasons related to electability. But to answer the question, yeah, it's a hypothetical. You should answer the hypothetical, and I would respect it a lot more if instead of if you were doing a kind of strategic thing, to be like, I'm going to keep my cards close to my chest. And that is what some people have done. And you know what? All power to them. But when you answer the hypothetical that way, you open yourself up for criticism. And if this is a way to get leverage, guess what? Then we're doing our jobs by calling it out. Because presumably the reason you're getting leverage or clout has to do in part with our reaction. That is, those of us who are in the sane lib world, that you're getting some clout, you're getting some leverage for your eventual nomination based on our reaction. So there should be no hurt feelings for libs overreacting if that's part of the strategy, is to, like, up your clouded endorsement.
And for the record, I want to clear up, no one here, I mean, I'm assuming, no one here is saying you have to pledge your loyalty to Gavin Newsom before the primary. It's the hypothetical is in the general, right? No one's saying it's going to be him no matter what, so you have to accept everything. No one here is above criticizing Gavin Newsom. I don't think, is anyone here like, is Gavin Newsom their first pick?
No. One of my top two.
Top two? What's your other one?
Kamala Harris.
Okay, cool. That's fair.
Now you can be mad at Jose. Now you can be mad at him.
You're raised.
I mean, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine. The point is that, like, everyone's pretending like it's like, oh, the Democratic fall in line, blue no matter who, and you can't criticize Dems. It's like, what the fuck do you think we do on this show all the time? All we do is criticize Dems. The point is, if it's that versus fucking JD Vance, there's a clear winner there. That's the only part of the hypothetical that matters, and I don't see why so many people ignore that.
Well, I think I'm ready to mail my ballot in right now for the November general, because I'm voting for whoever the fuck the Democrat is. I couldn't care less. And if you can't make that commitment right now, then fuck you. That's what I say.
What if it was Jeffrey Epstein?
Ha, 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 ha. Well, obviously it's
yes
going to be
or
one
no?
of like 20 people. It's not going to be some crazy ghost of Jeffrey Epstein bullshit. So we don't even have to entertain that. And you got done dirty on that, Hutch. You took that bait.
I'll bite the bullet. I don't give a fuck. But like here, let me describe like what makes me furious about this moment. And I'm gonna give you guys a prescription that I think that you should follow. Okay, do not let these people frame their intention, their stated intention, in a neutral way, like, oh, they're just saying that they would vote for a third party. That's not actually what they're saying. And the logic that Hassan gave after the fact, which is like, this is how you pressure politicians, right? You create leverage. Well, then you have to ask, well, what is the leverage? The leverage is not that they're threatening to help elect a third party instead of Gavin Newsom. They know that that's not possible. So what is the leverage? The leverage that they're trying to create is they are threatening to hurt Gavin Newsom in 2028, which necessarily means that they're threatening to help a party that they call fascist win the presidency. That's what they're doing. They are threatening to help a fascist party win. Do not let them get away with skirting that. And
no, wait, Hutch, they're still holding out for concessions, a month or a year after the election. He's still holding out to endorse Kamala, right?
I guess, yeah. But like, oh, you made me lose my train of thought.
I'm so sorry.
I get easily distracted.
I'm so sorry. I know you're old.
They like to post the meme, the Schrodinger's leftist meme, where they accuse libs of simultaneously blaming leftists for 2016 and 2024, but then also saying that they don't need leftist support. But they're doing Schrodinger's leftists. Do people understand this? They're simultaneously saying, well, don't blame us for Donald Trump in 2016 to 2024. You should have, done this, this, and this. But then they're also saying, listen to us. Otherwise, we'll, help JD Vance win an election. You can't reconcile those two things. You either, if you want the leverage to say, I'm threatening to hurt Gavin Newsom by helping JD Vance, you have to accept the responsibility for everything that comes afterwards. That means everything that Trump did from 2017 to 2021, and everything Trump is currently doing now, and everything that JD Vance could do from 2029 to 2033. you are accepting responsibility for helping to cause that. And I think that we should frame their intentions in that way explicitly moving forward, and do not let them skate by saying, oh, I'm just going to vote third party. I didn't say anything about helping Vance.
You said it that Hassan is MAGA in a sense, and I kind of agree. Forgive me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but I think that their goal is to trigger the libs, just like MAGA, and they love seeing us get upset. And as Jose said, they have nothing they stand for. They're not proposing anything. And I don't know if I'm curious if Pisco disagrees with me on this one.
I
don't think there's anything Gavin Newsom can do to win Hassan's vote. It doesn't matter. He could become everything they want, and they'll still hate on him if he's the nominee.
Oh, that I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know if Gavin visits Hassan enough and they develop some kind of like bromance. I mean, that might be enough. Seriously, if
just one appearance on his show.
I think if he is out with Gavin enough, and I don't think that it's so much policy related. I'm just going to be honest. That's my impression. Maybe he can come out and say differently. I don't think that Hassan is MAGA. I think that is an oversimplification, and we shouldn't stray into this kind of like, we were talking about Bush at the start, Jose. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. Now, there's a lot of shades of bad that aren't MAGA, and we should like know our different interlocutors and enemies and rivals for what they are. And saying that they're MAGA, I think, is flattening discourse a little bit. Now, I will often, say something like TYT is MAGA news when they're doing like MAGA propaganda specifically, but then I would limit it to those specific instances. I think it's it's distracting to call them MAGA, and I think it's untrue.
Okay, I hear you, but you also acknowledge that Hassan's mind could be changed just by a nice appearance of Gavin Newsom on his show.
Yeah,
so it's not a serious. These are not serious actors.
Right, it's not ideological.
And I'm with
you. Yeah, I don't think it's ideological.
It just shows how petty it is and how stupid they are. So to me, there's no substance there. I'm not saying you, but for Hassan's criticism, there's no substance there. It's just Gavin hasn't come on my channel yet and done an interview, so I'm mad.
So let's deal with the substance then. Let's deal with the substance, on their own terms, as though they were good faith. If Gavin Newsom came out for Medicare for all and called the war in Gaza genocide, do you think he would change his tune on Gavin Newsom? I think it's possible. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I'm curious what other people think, though.
He posted the video. It was like, I would vote for Gavin if, and it was like, prosecute Republicans, switch up thing on Gaza, like essentially like everything that I agree with. And that whether or not he's being truthful, I can't say, but yeah, it's probably true that if Gavin was a completely different candidate, he might vote for him, but does it matter? He's not going to change to capitulate to everything Hassan wants anyway. So
that has to do about like our priors on whether or not it is more ideological. Now, I think a lot of it is vibes. A lot of it is personality related. But frankly, I think that's true of a lot of people on this platform. And it's true even of people like, you have these like weird setups of ideological, you would think would be rivals. I think of like Brianna Wu and Cenk Uygur, right? Brianna Wu, super pro-Israel, but yet is able to maintain relationships, I don't know now, but at least for the longest time, with Cenk Uygur. And so a lot of this, I think, is like high school friendship, relationship type bullshit. And to be honest, I think that there's a lot of that even among liberals who feel hard done by Hassan based on some of his coverage and sometimes give him an outsized importance than what he deserves.
Jose, you've been a little quiet. Jump in.
Well, with Hassan specifically, I mean, I would like a reference point. I would like to know who his ideal candidate is from the people that are rumored to be running in 2028. I think that would be a good starting point instead of having this list of demands that are frankly unrealistic, because no one is going to meet all his demands. It's just not going to happen. And then I just wanted to address some of the folks in the chat who kind of get annoyed.
You could ignore chat.
Well, no, I think it's important because some of them got really annoyed when I said my top two choices are Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. They can be annoyed all they want, but the fact remains that you have to be a registered Democrat if it's a close primary. You have to know about the party infrastructure in your state. If you want to support another candidate, make sure you are really well-tuned, fine-tuned with what's happening in your state, in your primary. Knock on doors, advocate for your preferred candidate, and make sure you get out there and tell your neighbors to vote for this person in whenever that primary happens, if you want another candidate. Because what's going to happen is the folks that are really entrenched with the party are going to be promoting Kamala Harris. So do not be surprised when and if she becomes the nominee in 2028, if you did not do your part.
I do want to say to that, Jose, though, because there's a super chat in my chat that says, could we get the panel's thought on centrists threatening to vote for Vance's leverage to more moderate Dem candidates as compared to leftists doing the same thing the other direction? I have not heard a single centrist Democrat, center-left Democrat, say they wouldn't vote for AOC or Bernie if he were running or some other more left-wing candidate. And I just want to confirm, Jose, you absolutely would vote for a left-wing candidate over JD Vance. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
He doesn't even need to let me finish the question because it's just so obvious, and that's what the answer we want from leftists.
But back in 2016, maybe they're referencing this. I do remember there was I don't know how big this movement was. There was a fair amount of people that were saying, if it's Bernie Sanders and Trump, I vote for Trump because Bernie Sanders would devastate the American policy.
Who the fuck was saying that? Maybe some corporate donor people. And I'm honestly,
sure,
I'm not even just. I'm not doing the fucking. I just want to say, I'm not doing the kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge quote. There are some of those business type people who were talking shit about Bernie, who are kind of more centrist type individuals. But in terms of partisan Democrats, fucking no one was saying that. And if they did say that, send me the screenshot.
I
don't believe it.
What I get confused about. Go ahead, Guy.
Oh, I just want to say quickly, I don't think this would be the same Kamala either. We're talking Kamala 2.0 with the full 2 years to rev up, and I think she'd come out swinging hard. People seem to think it's going to be coconut pilled Brat Summer once again. No fucking way. This is going to be a brand new Kamala ready to swing.
I agree.
But I don't think she has the eye of the tiger. Do you think?
Why would you say that though? She was literally politically undefeated until 2020 when she lost the primary.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ganas. I'm talking about the eye of the tiger.
Bro, she is a fighter. People don't know. People because they just haven't been exposed enough. They don't have any idea what her track record was like in California for 2 decades before she, tried to make a run for the president. But she
I'm talking about the killer instinct, and no word salad.
But wait, no, did you not watch her performance when she was doing subcommittee hearings in the Senate? She was a fucking killer, bro.
Very different.
She absolutely slaughtered William Barr when he came in. No, but it's not. I disagree. Well, either which way, I agree with Guy that I think that the 2028 Kamala is going to be very feisty and a lot less risk averse. But I want to just address something else, when it comes to the leverage. You look like you're ready to jump in.
I just want to say one quick question to Jose, who remembers the Bush era, and maybe can remind us. Do you remember a moment after 9/11 when George Bush is standing on rubble and trying to give a speech?
I lived in the area. I lived in the area.
And someone comes out and you're going to finish it. Someone comes and say, "We can't hear you. We can't hear you." And what does Bush say in response? Do you remember?
He said something like, "Pretty soon they're going to hear from all of us."
Yeah. I hear you. The
world hears you. Yeah.
And soon the people who did this, tore down these buildings, are going to hear from us too. That you could say whatever you want about Bush. That is the kind of off the cuff riz. Now watch this drive. Obama, say less. That's what I'm looking for. And
wait, are you saying George Bush had riz? He was
notoriously undoubtedly.
He was mocked for being a horrible speaker who made up
Bush-isms.
words and stumbled over.
That was the election in 2000. It was the who would you rather? Oh no, it was 2004 or 2000. Either way, W was running, but it was the who would you rather have a beer with?
Yeah,
election.
Stupid people felt like seen by the stupid frat boy guy, but he didn't have
just people who are able to command in a moment. And again, Obama's the best example of this, who are able to extemporaneously communicate in a just totally flawless and without much hiccups and without difficulty. Every time I watched Biden talk, I was like, oh my God, please get through this sentence. And Kamala, in some cases, like that too. Even during the debate, there were some kind of weird moments for her. She obviously killed him in the debate and was much better objectively, in my opinion. But that's what I'm looking for, a killer instinct.
I think you'll see that. But I want to.
Hutch, Josiah super chatted, and he demands an answer that we all commit to voting for Newsom over JD Vance in the general. I vow. Do we all vow?
I reluctantly agree. Yeah.
Unless it's in the Epstein files.
What? No, I'm still doing it, even if
it's there you go. That's my boy right there.
It's on stream, bro. See it's on stream.
Guy, you vow.
No, but I think that Gavin should go on his on stream. I think Gavin should go on his
So do I.
And I think that he should.
I think it's funny that he's declined it so far.
Yeah, I don't think he should.
So in terms of leverage, if the whole idea of saying that you would vote third party over Newsom in a hypothetical general versus Vance, if the whole idea is to create leverage, why the fuck can't you why can't you create leverage by just simply saying, I will throw my support behind a different primary candidate? Like, why the fuck do you need to jump to, I will help a fascist win the presidency? Like, when you do that, I wrote it down so I don't forget. When you do that, there's only 5 things that I can think of to justify, to make sense of that. You either don't actually believe that Republicans are fascists, you yourself are secretly a fascist, you're genuinely too stupid to understand that this is what you're doing, like helping a fascist, you're an accelerationist, or you're a black-pilled nihilist, in which case, why are you even talking about politics? Go like masturbate and do crimes and just, live life and experience pleasure, because it all doesn't matter. The whole thing's going to come crashing down anyways. Like, those are the only things I can think of to make sense of that kind of a threat. Like,
I'm happy you added the last one, Hutch, because I feel like so many people ignore this. Like, because this is the thesis, right? That the black pill, like, if Gavin Newsom's the nominee, he will lose. That's their argument. Not, I'm going to help him lose. They're just like, it doesn't matter what I do at that point, which, of course, is mutually exclusive with saying that you have leverage. Because if you have leverage, then he's not definitively going to lose. It means maybe you could help. But yeah, the idea that, like, well, if it's those two, then the country's fucked. Right. So, okay, then shut up and go away. You've lost, apparently, because your candidate didn't get in. And let us, try to fucking get this guy into office. And you can go off and stop trying to hurt us by criticizing us and not helping. Like, yeah, I agree. They should just disappear at that point.
I'm curious what Jose thinks we should do about these guys, because a lot of people think we need to go convince them. We need to talk to them. I look at the 90 million people who didn't vote for whatever reason. I'm like, those guys are probably much easier to get. We peel off a couple 100,000 of the indifferent, and we can win this. But what do you think we do with these people, Jose? Do you engage with them? You said you mostly ignore them, but what do you do?
Well, with folks like Hassan specifically who make that claim, I think it's important
He's got a big
him.
audience.
And he has a big audience, yes, but I think it's important to expose him and just show the fact that he's willing to risk another 4 years of, Trump Part 3 now, because he is insulated from any of the consequences. He is a rich guy who drives a luxury car, who lives in Hollywood. He does not have to live with any of the consequences of his decision. So he is gambling with other people's lives. And I just think exposing that fact, I think is helpful. And then just people are now living the consequences of the second Trump term, because we've already seen this rhetoric again, that it's okay if Trump wins because the country's going to move more left. We are not moving more left. The country is telling us they want to move as right as possible. We can only move, and people aren't going to like this, we can only move a little bit more left than we are right now, because the country already told us, we are willing to go so extreme. We draw the line of people at American citizens or civilians getting shot in the face, but we were willing, we were cool up to that point.
Well, Trump is doing, the first year has been so profoundly awful, almost like surprisingly awful, that I think there's a lot of negative polarization happening right now, which creates a lane for left-wing populists. So I don't know if I agree with you that the party can only go like a little bit right. It is conceivable to me that the Democratic base nominates a left-wing populist in 2028, if it's 3 more years of this. We went from 30% of the country saying that they would be okay with abolishing ICE to like 55%. Donald Trump is upside down on every single issue there is right now. And if we get plunged into some kind of a recession or something like that, then it's really like all bets are off. I mean, you could have like an FDR style candidate come in there and push the needle like way in the other direction. So
here's the hard truth, in my opinion, with respect to like where to orient yourself or triangulate your position. I don't know what you want to call it. Populism and populist politics is having a moment right now, and it's impossible to deny that, with some exceptions, maybe Mark Carney in Canada, but really with few exceptions, Albanese right now is getting thundered in the polls, Keir Starmer, Macron, across the world, there's a populist moment, and the lefties are absolutely right about that. And I don't think that where the American people are at is ideologically committed to the right or like on these cultural issues. I think it's about how they're being spoken to with what kind of aura. And so, yeah, I'm not really committed ideologically to one particular version of the Democratic Party. I want killers who are able to communicate. Unfortunately, that's like the major part of politics now, is being able to communicate in that way with a broad section of America. I have a question for you, Hutch. As between Piers Morgan and Hassan Piker, who are you more mad at based on their coverage?
Who do I think does more harm, you mean?
Both mad at and harm.
I mean, I don't know. That's hard to say. I think they do different kinds of harm. I think Piers Morgan, he thrives and capitalizes off of really thought terminating idiotic debates that can be sort of entertaining in the way that two dumpster trucks colliding at 90 miles per hour in 4K, 500 frames per second is entertaining. But I think Hassan is very actively creating a permission structure to not support the Democratic nominee in 2028. And I think he is more consumed with a delusional fantasy that he's this leader of a vanguard movement of a new kind of socialist party.
Yeah, Piers is delusional on Trump and claiming that what I mean to say is basically the following in response to what should be done with them. It almost feels like a mafia line. Should something be done with them? I just feel that we should respond to them as appropriate, call out their bad takes as appropriate. But the obsession is something I don't understand. The obsession is something I don't understand, and why, as opposed to someone like Piers Morgan, as opposed to Joe Rogan, as opposed to Dave Smith. I see a Dave Smith tweet, I fucking respond. But Hutch, it seems personal.
No. What I find personally aggrieving about Hassan is that I think his actions and his attitudes, and it's not just him. I don't just talk about him. I'm very focused on him in the last week because of what he said. And I think it kind of vindicates what I've been saying, what I've been trying to tell people about this part of the internet, that they are destructive, they are arsonists. What I find particularly aggrieving about this is that I think it leads to really bad outcomes where people get hurt. We ended a program that is estimated to have saved 91 million lives from 2001 to 2021. USAID is estimated to have saved 91 million lives. We can restart that program again if we elect a Democrat president and potentially spare 10 to 15 million dead people over the next 10 years.
Do you think I don't agree with everything you're telling me right now?
I'm laying out my reasoning. And so if I focus on one person, it's because I think there's value in attacking that viewpoint. And I think the people that say, why are you so obsessed with Hassan? This reminds me of when people say why are you so obsessed with Donald Trump? It's well, the reason I'm talking about Hassan so much is because he's literally one of the top streamers in the world. He's insanely influential. And I think there needs to be people that are out there actively trying to discredit his idiotic, vapid, grifty bullshit.
But Hutch,
and I would say it is.
Hutch, can we turn it around on you? Would you commit to voting for Hassan over JD Vance in the general?
I already told you I would Minecraft myself if you made me choose between
the two. Come on, that's a cop out, Hutch.
I would literally do that. I'm not even kidding.
No, that's not the question. You said Epstein. So it seems like you're saying that you prefer to vote for Jeffrey Epstein than Hassan Piker by transitive property of equality.
Wait, hold on. The choices are Jeffrey Epstein and Hassan.
No. So you said you would vote for Jeffrey Epstein in a Democrat suit, and so that's already given. And you're equivocal. You have a different position, seemingly, on Hassan Piker running against JD Vance. And it seems like, based on that, the transitive property, therefore, Epstein is preferable to Hassan Piker as leader.
I think understand.
That just logically follows.
I don't understand how much more Hassan needs to say for people to realize.
Can you respond to what I just said about the Epstein comparison to Hassan Piker?
Don't do the debate bro thing. I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't know how many more things Hassan needs to say before people fully understand that he does not believe in liberal democracy. He is a
I just made a point about Epstein. I'm not getting off this point, Hutch. I'm not getting off this point.
He's a Marxist-Leninist. No, you're trying to moralize about Epstein and whatnot. And we're talking about a guy who...
You think Hassan is worse than Jeffrey Epstein. That's what it shows you, Hutch. That's what it shows you.
What is Jeffrey Epstein?
You did when you said I would vote for Epstein over fucking JD Vance.
Tell me, what is Jeffrey Epstein's policy platform?
Dude... You don't need to know Jeffrey Epstein's policy.
You don't need to know. Here's what I know about him.
You said you voted for him on abortion.
You don't need. You voted for him over JD Vance.
Here is what I know about that. Here is what I know about Hassan. He romanticizes, lionizes, and idolizes Vladimir fucking Lenin. Do you know how many people, fucking millions of people, died
I'm not moving
under
off
his
this point,
regime?
Hutch. This is a
and you wanna
dodge. This is a
moralize?
dodge.
No, you're
This is a
doing prime
dodge. This is a
ties.
dodge. This is
No,
this
you're
is not
doing prime ties.
anything.
Yes, you are.
No,
Yes,
no,
you
this is
are.
not prime
Hold on,
time.
hold on.
You
This is not prime
justified
time. No,
me.
I'm not.
You
I'm not moving off this
why
point.
you would vote for Hassan. Why would you vote for
we-
Hassan?
Harm reduction. Hassan would be better than JD Vance. That's why you would vote for Epstein over JD Vance. Wait, that's why you would vote for Epstein over JD. That's why you would vote for Epstein over JD Vance, right? Isn't it the case that you would vote for Epstein over JD Vance? Didn't you say that? And presumably your answer.
You're saying it would be harm reduction to vote.
So then say it, Hutch.
Yes,
Say that I view Jeffrey
No, it's
Epstein
on
as a
you
better
to
leader than
justify
Hassan
to
Piker.
me.
No,
No, it's
your
on
own
you.
statement. Wait,
No, it is
you know
on
you
you
fucked
to
yourself.
justify to
You know
me.
you
No,
fucked yourself.
fucked
You know you
yourself.
did.
No, you're telling me that you would vote for somebody who presided over tens of millions of deaths. Pisco. That's the guy.
Hassan Piker?
Hassan Piker has
No, he
killed zero
models
people.
his politics after fucking Vladimir Lenin, and then you're turning it around on me.
So
Like,
then just say
genuinely
then say Epstein is preferable to
Hold on,
Hassan Piker.
I'm starting to feel embarrassed because Jose is here, and it's like we're fighting. So let's.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm still wondering why.
Can you just say?
I'm still wondering how a corpse would get
Hassan Piker?
nominated to be the Democratic nominee.
Well,
true,
it's
that's true.
Ghost. Well, I can say it. I can say it without any hesitation. I would vote for Hassan over JD Vance in a heartbeat, and I have a feeling Jose would too. What, Jose? What do you say? Hassan versus JD Vance?
Yeah, if somehow Hassan decided to jump into the Democratic fray and run and win, yeah, of course. Of course, I would vote for him as the as the.
You're the
Democratic
odd
nominee.
one out here, Hutch. We'd all vote for Hassan. We all think he would be better than a Trump as presidency.
Then
And
I just think we have very different kind of opinions about like how Marxist-Leninist governance like functions and actually is.
You're
in
taking
practice.
the worst possible outcome of unintentional policies from Hassan and comparing them to intentional fascism and saying they're about equal and I would off myself. I think that's not right.
He legitimately stands Vladimir Lenin. He thinks that that's a model for how to like conduct governance. Do you understand that?
Campaign.
I understand.
Campaign rhetoric, Hutch.
Okay, so
That's
why the
campaign
fuck
rhetoric,
would I ever
Okay,
like asking me to choose between him and Jeffrey Epstein? I guess
You picked Epstein already. You've already laid that out.
Look,
it's
look,
like
wait,
asking
Hutch. Do you think Hassan wants everyone to have health care? Yes or no? No, I'm not trying to gotcha.
Oh
I'm
my
just
God,
saying.
bro.
Do you
What
think
is
he
this
wants that? Do you think?
question?
Do you
Yes,
actually
yes,
think?
yes,
Okay, so
yes.
like I would pick someone who's trying, maybe in a bad way, to get universal health care from everyone than Donald Trump, who says, "I'm going to cut taxes on billionaires, fuck people. I don't care if they die, and let's go send ICE in and round all these people up. I don't care if worst case scenario it could be bad. I'm saying,
hang on a minute. Would you fucking defend Kim Jong Un because everybody in North Korea has healthcare?
no.
Okay,
Do
so
you
why
think,
the
do you
fuck
think
are you
this is
trying to do
Hassan's
it here,
model
bro?
of
Come
healthcare?
on.
Do you think Hassan wants Kim Jong Un healthcare? Is that what he's like?
It's like Venezuela. Oh, have you heard of Venezuela, guys?
Hassan literally said, this is what he believes. Like he believes in a uniparty. He would ban political opposition. Do you understand this? What do I care if I have healthcare if I can't?
They
form a
banned
political party?
Nazi parties in Germany, and honestly, I'm okay with that. So
It's like
depending on how
asking me
it's
to
done.
choose between like Stalin and Hitler. I choose neither. I would
don't
welcome
think
the
these
warm
things-
embrace of oblivion before I had to choose between.
Then
the
I
two.
don't think
Wait,
then I don't think
yeah.
you
Can
go-
you criticize Hassan for saying,
Yeah,
I view
100%, yeah.
like, look, I disagree, but he thinks that Gavin Newsom's policies lead to the same bad outcomes that Trump presidencies do because
he's
eventually get a new Trump.
moron.
Okay,
Because
and I
he's a
disagree with that,
fucking
but you're
idiot.
making the same argument now. I feel like you don't have a
He's
leg to stand
wrong.
on.
I'm right. Who cares if he's saying something different? I don't
Okay.
care. Who cares?
Okay, I'd vote.
All right,
for
hold
Hassan.
on. Let's steer
I'd
the
vote
conversation
twice
a
for
bit.
Hassan. to
Sorry,
negate
Jose.
you
We
not
get
voting for him.
derailed a lot. My
Oh
apologies.
no, you're fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying. I mean, I think Hassan's a pussy, but I mean, it is what it is, and I don't think he has riz either. It's just because he has a lot of influence, right? And when you call him out on it, when you're like, hey, you have a lot of influence, you should have not said X, Y, Z. Maybe Kamala Harris could have won. He then backpedals and he goes, well, I'm just a streamer. I live in California. I'm just this idiot. He doesn't really double down on the influence that he has on the folks that watch
Yeah,
him.
but he's not Jeffrey Epstein, though, right? He's not.
Oh
Jeffrey
yeah, he's not. No, I said I would vote for. I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff Epstein's dead, but I would
Yeah.
vote for Hassan if he was the Democratic nominee. I just don't
Yeah.
think he has the spine that it takes to even reach that level. Because again, he talks a lot of shit on his stream. But if you were to call him out on it, he always backpedals. Even on Twitter, like when people call him out on it, he always changes the framing of what is being discussed when he quote tweets someone, and he never properly addresses what the person that he's quote tweeting. He just doesn't have
I think that's totally. I think that's totally true, and that's one of the reasons why I do get triggered when my boy Hutch, who I love Hutch with all my heart.
Oh
when
my God.
he has the lefties in his replies, like 99% of the time, they're not like responding to anything he's saying, and that triggers me as someone who wants their question answered. Hutch. It triggers me when people dodge, and I think that he does that a lot, and I think that's wrong.
Like my answer.
Isaiah's calling you
I
out.
don't know
Hutch.
that,
If Hutch can't choose between Stalin and Hitler,
Oh,
ask him what FDR
fuck.
should have done in World War II, and ask him why he hates America.
FDR did the right thing because
He chose
Hitler.
Stalin.
Hitler.
He chose
Hitler-
Stalin.
Yes, he did, because Hitler represented the immediate larger threat. And then what happened as soon as the war ended, we ended up in a fucking 50-year Cold War with the Soviets. bro.
Should we
That
have not
was
done
the
that?
correct decision. No, that was the correct decision.
Okay, so you should vote for Stalin, Hassan Piker, and then afterwards we can have the Cold War with Hassan
We can have the
Piker.
Cold War with Hassan Piker.
I see what you're doing. I guess you trapped me with that one.
Got him, Josiah.
Hey,
You got it,
good
you
job,
got it, you
Josiah.
got
Good shit. We did it. What's going on in the news, folks? I mean, Pam Bondi freaking out over this financier.
Let me just say something real quick. I am calling for
Yeah,
a
sure.
total and complete shutdown of
Hassan talk?
of Jeffrey Epstein mentions until we can figure out what the hell is going on, because he's come up. The reanimated corpse of Jeffrey Epstein has come up in like the last 4 Live and Learn episodes. So I'm calling for a complete
It's in the
shutdown
news.
Yeah,
until we can
it's
figure
our
out what
title.
the hell is going on. All right. Anyways, switching to Bondi, the Bondi hearing. That was
Oh,
insane.
hey, Epstein. Where
About
did
Epstein.
that come from?
Yeah, this financier guy, this random dude who
Epstein?
is. I thought he was going to run for something, but no, it was a shocking performance. So I don't know if you caught any of it, but
I watched the whole thing.
yeah, when people talk shit about Merrick Garland, I mean, I'm the last stand in the world. I look at how Merrick Garland comported himself in these hearings and the professionalism, the honor of Joe Biden picking someone like Merrick Garland, who is not political and who is putting really his country above any political allegiance. To see Pam Bondi sit there, not only be brazenly political, brazenly, to use a term, shrill. I don't care. Say whatever you want. They said about Hillary Clinton. I'll use it back against Pam Bondi. I'll use it back against Pam Bondi. Go fuck yourself. And also lie, but then to do just dumb political moves, like say in response to accusations about Jeffrey Epstein and cover up. But did you check the Dow recently? What an
50,000
awesome performance on every level. So Jose, give us your thoughts.
Well, obviously, she was just performing for an audience of one. I mean, that was clear. I think the best moment for me was when Thomas Massey went up against her, because he really drew blood. What ended up happening is he brought up some redacted documents where a gentleman by the name of, was it Lex Wexler? Is that his name?
Wexler, I think.
Wexler, yes, his name was redacted, and this was and Pam Bondi tried to say, well, look, his name is all over these documents, and Massey hit her back with yes, but this particular redaction had to do with a connection to a crime, and what a coincidence that his name was redacted. And she was like, well, within 40 minutes we unredacted that information, and he hits her back like, yes, you did that because me and Ro Khanna were the ones that brought it up, and that's why you
Which is
did
objectively
that.
true.
Exactly.
Which is
Yeah,
objectively
exactly.
true. Yeah.
And so he drew blood at that moment, and I thought that was just the best moment. And for me, the second or the most impactful moment. And then for me, the second most impactful was when Jayapal said to her to look at the victims, Epstein's victims, and to apologize to them, and she just wouldn't look at them. I thought that was definitely historic in terms of photo opportunities. Because
do you remember when Zuckerberg had a bunch of people behind him, and then they asked Zuckerberg to turn around and awkwardly apologize? I do think it's a bad look, Jose, but I think it would have been worse for her to be around and be like, I'm sorry, I covered up the Epstein files. That would have looked really bad too.
No, she could have done what she did. She's like, you know what? I am so sorry that the previous administrations that didn't do anything about this. We're taking a look at it now, and we promise that we are going to be doing something. Do something. She could have just done that. She could have pivoted the blame back to the previous administrations, just like she did throughout her hearing.
It reminds me a little bit. I'm sorry, not to make a joke out of it or light of it, but when Pearl Davis, I don't know if you guys watched the Word War debate appearance by Pearl Davis, but she came on and she brought with her some guy who had been divorced and lost an alimony or whatever, and pointed to the crowd. It's what these politicians do. It's all performative. It's all a way to try to signal and look good. And Pam Bondi crucially did not do that. She looked awful. Even MAGA, everyone wants her gone. Same thing with Kristi Noem. And I think the pressure is mounting on them specifically.
Yeah, the Dow has dropped to 49,500, so we have to investigate Epstein now. It's yeah, we got to reopen that case.
I thought when I forgot who it was, but somebody asked the Epstein victims, have the DOJ reached out to you? And none of them could raise their hands. And have you tried reaching out to them? And have they responded? And they all said they had. And I think that was a very profound moment, because there's this weird narrative that like the DOJ's interviewed these people and talked to them, and nothing could be further from the truth. They haven't even listened to them at all.
I think it's important to note that that being said, I just had an interview, and I want you guys to watch it when I post on my channel, with Michael Tracy. It was more of a conversation that turned into a debate that we had. And even though I disagree majorly with a lot of what Michael Tracy said, I disagree with a lot of the conspiracy peddling that even some Democrats are responsible for, including, by the way, Ro Khanna, who I think says way more than the evidence shows, where he is also like stating the names of people in open Congress, even though that there's no like showing that these people have done anything culpable and incriminatory. And so I think Democrats need to be careful. Absolutely use the Epstein files issue against Trump. They made their bed. They have to lie in it. And it's totally fine for Democrats to do that. But I would caution people against, making claims that aren't supported by the evidence or being reckless, as I think Ro Khanna has been. Not that he hasn't done good work, but I think he and Thomas Massie have been a bit reckless, just being honest and frank.
Well, I think Democrats are in a unique position now where the Democratic nominee can say, I will release the Epstein files. I'll do it over. I will redact it fully. I don't think there's any Republican out there that can say that, except maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, if she somehow gets the nomination for the Republicans. And I think you'll even win over some Republicans with that line of with that position. I don't think you're going to win the election on releasing the Epstein files, but still, I think it's a very powerful position that somebody like Ro Khanna could be in to move forward in the nomination process.
I actually disagree, Guy. I know this should not be anyone's primary platform policy, but I think, why is it that every single time you want to paint your enemy as the worst possible person, you call him a pedophile? It's because it's the worst thing someone can do. I think you could genuinely win an election off the Epstein thing. Like, hey,
really?
I truly do think if you like hammered it in as this is the party that wants to protect pedophiles and we're the party that doesn't. I genuinely think it's just such a like A-B black and white issue that enough people are like, well, I'm not voting for the pedophile protectors. Now, I'm not saying they should, but I genuinely think that's like enough of a damning thing that you could win an election off that. So it's going to be very helpful.
I think they should probably focus on the economy over Epstein, but I mean, like, listen, I think it's an attack vector. I think it's an attack vector for sure.
Yeah, when he's our nominee, it'll be really important not to focus on him as the nominee. No, I do agree with Hutch, though, on the polling stuff. I'm not convinced, and people will say this, like the Democrats fucked up by not, politically releasing the files. I think Ogre Boy and Vadim said this either last week or the week before, whenever we last did that show. And I just don't think that this issue, even though it's a political liability, no doubt, rises to even the top 5 issues for Americans. I think it's definitely cost of living, economy, healthcare. I think health insurance and healthcare is, even now, even after we have shown how much like a shutdown fight premise on that can move the discourse as well as public polling. I think that it's an underutilized aspect and always has been the Democrats' strongest policy position.
The 2 E's: Epstein, economy. That's it. That's all we learned.
But I think you have a point, because I think people can get in the gutter and talk about it, because look what happened in with Hillary in 2016. They were talking about what was it? Not Pizzagate. They were talking about that. That was an element of attack against her. And then in 2024, when Joe Biden was running, he was allegedly like sniffing kids' hair and doing all this stuff. So it was like a really dirtbag. Well, he was
sniffing.
You mean caught it in 4K? What do you mean?
See, now you know your Biden show right now. He was sniffing. He was smelling.
Who knows what he was doing when he put his nose up to their hair? Maybe.
That can definitely be a line of attack for the folks who really, really like to get in the mud and launch those attacks against whoever the Republican nominee is, which will probably be J.D. Vance.
I'm surprised that no one's brought it up yet, but the fact that she had a cheat sheet with Pramila Jayapal's search history from within their closed system, that should be something that more people are talking about. I worry that it's not going to break into the mainstream, but that is like, that is straight up Orwellian crazy tactics. I mean, that is like ripe for the picking too, to attack them, because I mean, it's just like, can you imagine what the reaction would have been if that was who was the head of the FBI when Biden was president? I don't even remember. Who the fuck was the head of the FBI?
Chris.
Oh, it was Chris Wray. It was Wray.
Chris
Yeah.
Wray,
Can you
yeah.
imagine if Chris Wray, or no, it would have been Garland, because she's the attorney general, right? Can you imagine if Garland had a cheat sheet of all the Republican search history on a like close?
No, this is it really.
Can you imagine like Joe Rogan would have talked about that for 10 years straight on every single episode of his podcast?
It
like
really is wild. And to crystallize Hutch's point, I mean, it's really a good point. Put aside the legality of it. It's I think probably a government system. So I don't know if it constitutes an illegal search. So I don't know if it's illegal or not. I don't really have a view on that. But just think about the motivation. The motivation was to track their search histories for the purposes of wielding them politically against them in hearings and in like the whip counting and in the discourse. That's an insane politicization of congressmen who are doing their duties under the law to make and do due diligence on the Justice Department in a cover up of the Epstein file. So it's an insane motivation. It's obviously politically corrupt.
Well, it's all the Republicans too. I don't know if you guys saw all the Democrats. Raskin was on that Legal Eagle episode talking about how it's like literally every single Democrat like searching through these files trying to find whatever they're looking for. It's like, let's get ahead of it, find out what they're looking at, and make talking points. Like how do you hold people accountable when they get to control what you see, or at the very least like know what you're looking for and maybe could censor? Like they've already taken down certain files that they're like, oh, whoops, we forgot to censor that Donald Trump.
It shows they're constantly thinking about it. It shows they're constantly factoring in public response in a way that the Epstein File Transparency Act is specifically trying to foreclose that. It's ridiculous.
To answer your question, though, the voters are the ones that are going to hold this administration accountable. And then after that, the next administration that comes in, it's up to the next attorney general. But we're already seeing that happening right now. And so they're just like, they really are crumbling. I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record. I say it every week, but did you guys know that the number is up to like 36 congressional Republicans who have announced their retirements? 36. I mean, that is
a
like,
record?
It's got to be up there, but they know that they're cruising for complete annihilation in November, and they're fleeing the ship. And he's baked in for the next 3 years. There's little that we can do about that unless we can convince Senate, Republicans to hold him accountable when we inevitably impeach him, which is going to happen. There's going to be a third impeachment at some point. That's just kind of baked in, and he's going to do the things that he do. But in the meantime, you can show up, you can vote, and more importantly, you can do what the people in Minnesota did, which is show up in the streets by a margin, or what was it, like 50,000 people in sub-zero temperatures. And look what happened. They responded to political pressure. They're pulling out of Minnesota. I don't know if they're pulling out every single ICE agent, but they're doing like a significant drawdown from Minnesota. That tells you, and we can thank Hassan, right? Like it's all his doing. But that tells you that they do respond to political pressure. And so, I feel like they lit the beacons, like at the end of fucking the Two Towers or the Return of the King. Like Minnesota lit the beacons for the rest of the country, and I think people should feel inspired by that. I think it should make people feel hopeful, and I think it should help to remind people that this administration bleeds. Like he's dare I say, he's not the Green Lantern. Like he is vulnerable and weak.
That vulnerability is being felt even in places like Texas, where we see polling that suggests that Cornyn might not even finish in the top 2 for the Republican nominations. That is causing some consternation. I think he was behind and was number 3 in some
Wesley
of these
Hunt?
polls. So I don't know that that will be the overall outcome, but this is why I'm, it kind of ties back to what we were talking about with Jose in the beginning. I do think that Democrats need to be ruthless and sometimes loyal when it's convenient, when it's helpful, when it's good, right? Because look at what the Republicans are doing. They're loyal when it doesn't help them, and they're disloyal sometimes when it doesn't help them. And they're just thinking purely in this sort of like MAGA cultist lens. I think it's going to hurt them. If they put in candidates like A.G. Paxton in Texas, that will give a better chance for a Democratic upstart like for example Talarico or Jasmine Crockett.
Speaking
to
of,
win.
good transition, Pisco.
Yeah, I knew where I was
think,
going.
yeah. I've heard, Jose, we've heard that. I think you're the only like Crockett stan out of all of us. Is this true? You're diehard for Crockett?
I love Jasmine Crockett. Absolutely. We were talking about how we need a fighter, and I don't see it in Talarico. I do see it in Jasmine Crockett. That being said, if he does win the nomination, or he does win the primary, I should say, I'll definitely support him. I was happy with either candidate. I thought they were really both good candidates. Once everything started to happen with the content creator gate and Talarico, that's when I was just like, okay, let me start doing a little more for Crockett on social media. But yeah, I'm very much for Jasmine Crockett, and specifically because she campaigned her ass off over here in California to promote Prop 50, which, as you guys know, was a direct response to what was happening in Texas.
Why
Which
do
they're
you
trying to be
think
super-
so many
super good.
people? What'd you say, Pisco? Sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead. I was just gonna say it was a huge thing that Gavin accomplished, and one of the reasons why we should respect the work that he's doing in the state.
Gotcha. Why, Jose? Why do you think so many people doubt Jasmine Crockett's ability to win the state of Texas? Because I think she is a rising star. She's huge, and I don't think she's taken a fight that she doesn't think she can win.
Well, I think she took this fight because I don't think she meant to take this fight this time. She got squeezed out of her district, and she said, what should I do? And she looked and she did some internal polling, and she was like, you know what, I'm going to go for Senate. Frankly, I don't think either one of them is going to win. I just don't see it. I don't, but I do want Jasmine Crockett to win that primary and have a crack at it, because I think if anyone has a chance to do it, I think she has the ability to do it. I know people. It's hard for me to reconcile the argument that, oh, James Talarico really appeals to folks that are right of center with the argument that we want a fighter. I really am leaning on people want folks who want who know how to fight, and Jasmine Crockett has shown that she can do that.
What do you think of the Hot
yeah.
Wheels comment? I mean, that's a bit below. It's not very nice of her to have said that, right?
Oh,
You condemn her?
Pisco. Wah, Pisco.
Hot Wheels. No, I want to say
Fair question.
I was more offended by Joe Biden failed us than Hot Wheels.
Oh, shit.
damn.
Listen, I just think he failed us in that moment, Jose. I just want to say I'm a big Biden stan. I support Biden, and I thought he did a great job. Best president of my lifetime. I do want to say I was wrong about something. I counted Jasmine Crockett out too early. I didn't really know shit. I remember thinking I might have seen some polls somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, she's out of it. And I was really sort of speaking out of turn. And so I want to learn more about this race, Jose. Maybe that's something. Maybe I should follow your Twitter account to get more updates about what she's doing and their policy positions. But for me, electability, this is probably true of everyone here, is the most important quality. And you're convinced, Jose, that she, even though she's not likely to win, has a better chance than Talarico?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And why is that? Is it just her personality and the vibes of it, or is it any kind of empirics or who you're talking to? What is it that drives that expectation?
I just think because she is, again, someone who fights. We've seen her in the hearings. We've seen how she conducts herself. She is able to get down in the mud and fight with these Republicans, but she's also able to take complicated concepts and spit them out in ways that the layman can understand. I believe she has that gift. A lot of people, what they do is they silo her and they say she's argumentative, she's divisive, she's partisan, but I think she's a lot more than that. And frankly, with James Talarico, what I see especially with it, for me, it really was highlighted when everything happened with Allred and the content creator. The way that he handled that, to me, highlighted that he is inexperienced and just a little too green for to be on the national stage.
Do you think he said it?
Well, he said it. And whether he said it in that context, no, he said that he did call Allred's method of campaigning inadequate. He did admit to that. That's
mediocre, right? Mediocre.
I'm sorry, yeah. Mediocre, not inadequate.
But did he admit to saying mediocre black man?
He said it was a mischaracterization.
Right. He said it was a mischaracterization. But here's my view on it. Why are you talking to a content creator about someone else who's in the race in a disparaging way? Fine, you didn't call him a mediocre black man. I will accept that you said that. But why are you calling him a mediocre campaigner to begin with? That just shows that you don't have the discipline that it takes to go to the next level. Because again, this is just a content creator. They don't have to live up to journalistic standards. If they're saying something's off the record, so what? It's just a content creator. Why are you willing to risk it all and have this conversation with a content creator?
But Jasmine Crockett called Greg Abbott Hot Wheels. I mean, is that not similar to calling someone a mediocre campaigner or a mediocre black man? I mean,
no, because that was out in public. She told everybody. She's like, "Here's what I said," and we're like, "Okay."
In public,
that makes it better or worse?
It would have been better
if he. Yeah, it would have been. Of course, it would have been better because we would have been like, okay, that's what he's about. Fine, it's unapologetic. It's who he is. But the fact that he was hemming and hawing, and this content creator put that allegation out with all the screenshots that made it very credible that the campaign reached out to her to create content for him because initially she was a supporter for Talarico. So he waited a whole day for that narrative to get out instead of just blunting the momentum and saying, you know what? I did meet with her. It was definitely mischaracterized and it was a lapse in judgment. My apologies. And I called up Allred and I apologize for saying that he was a mediocre campaigner. We're all on the same team. That's what he should have done, at least to blunt the momentum. Because once Allred got behind the camera and said what he said, it went national. And I thought that was a major misstep from the Talarico campaign.
So you're not offended. You're just calling to question his political instincts and judgment. Is that a fair characterization?
Precisely, yes. Well, because it's a he said, she said in that moment. So if he's saying that he didn't say it that way, okay, fine. But why did it take that long to issue a press release?
Interesting.
I take your point on his judgment. I never really thought of it that way, and I will agree with you. That is poor judgment to say like, okay, we're off the record with the content creator. That it's I hadn't thought about that before, but. You're speaking to, I think, a larger thing that's happening in the Democratic voter base right now, which is that people are really valuing the fight and teeth more than like probably everything. I feel like that's probably the most important thing for like the Democratic voter base right now. I take your point. I get that. And I agree that she taps into that kind of rage and that kind of anger and that kind of like determination and grit to, serve as a check on the administration. I wonder though, like, what evidence is there that particular kind of message would be best for a state like Texas? Like when I look at Talarico's campaign, and I hate populist rhetoric. I think populism is really stupid. I think history shows us that populism is like really dangerous, and it leads to really bad outcomes 99% of the time. However, I don't see him going to like the jank extremes of populism. He's being quite vague about it. I think he's doing something kind of interesting when he ties it to scripture. He ties it to like the teachings of Christ in terms of like framing issues like wealth inequality and like tax policy on billionaires. I think that's clever, and I think that him mixing all that with like scripture and then him being this like very like baby-faced, mild-mannered white boy from Texas. That feels to me like it has more potential in a state like Texas than Crockett. I feel like her approach is better suited for a state like California or Oregon or Washington.
And do we agree that sorry, go ahead, Jose.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I think that we should also take into account who their likely opponent is gonna be. I think Paxton is probably the odds-on favorite right now to win the Republican primary. And I'm not sure what would be better as against him. Paxton has his own corruption scandals. He is, however, a firebrand. He's loved by the MAGA base. And so I'm curious in that context, as a matchup, do you think that, this is a true preference for Crockett as against all candidates, or do you think that there's a specific aspect of facing off against Paxton that makes you excited about Crockett? Jose.
I'm just excited about Crockett, period, regardless of who she goes up against on the other side. I'm always under the impression I always operate under the impression that Republicans are just going to fall in line and support whomever the candidate is, and whoever the winner is of that primary, that's how much they were going to get, regardless of whether it was the preferred or not. I just think they're in lockstep that way.
Now, I'm surprised. I'm surprised you guys think Paxton is going to win. I don't know if everybody does, but Cornyn has got a war chest of money and he's well established. And I don't think Trump has picked anybody in the fight. And also Wesley Hunt, the Republican congressman, is kind of splitting the crazy vote with Paxton a little bit.
I just know that there's like a runoff situation there. So if I think if there's a three-way race, there's probably going to be a runoff. At least that's where the polling is suggesting. And I think it says a lot that the incumbent candidate, who's a known commodity in Texas right now, isn't ahead in the polls. And now I know Paxton is also a known commodity, but he has shown a longevity and a kind of resilience in the state of Texas. He was impeached, if you guys recall, by Texas state Republicans and survived that. He's had his own, case with the DOJ, I think, and criminal case even. And so he seems resilient to me. And the mere fact that the incumbent is currently, I think if you take the average down in terms of the polling, I think it's a bad sign for Cornyn. Now, obviously, that could change with an endorsement from Trump, but I don't know if that's going to be forthcoming. I think Trump kind of doesn't like Cornyn.
Yeah. I think Trump picks the winner. I don't put much faith in those state polls for the left or the right. They just seem kind of junky to me in general. Same thing with Maine and all the other states, too. I don't put much faith in that. Just me, though.
What do you think about
Are
Maine,
you, Jose? Are
Well,
you
we have
in?
you.
Are you in Texas, Jose? I don't know if you disclosed.
I'm in California.
Cali.
I'm in California.
Okay, I was just curious. Just curious.
Speaking of which, I think someone in chat doxed you at 1 hour and 25 minutes. So if anyone wants to go back and blur that, that'd be something we should probably do just in case. Unless that's a public thing. We don't like it when chatters do that. All right, could we not do that, guys?
No, I don't show the chat, so it won't show up on mine.
All right,
Good to know that.
Smart. Hey,
Don't
did
show
you guys
these
see
people.
AOC's word salad? I don't know if we want to talk about that.
I
at
didn't
all.
see it.
In Munich?
What
In Munich.
what did she say?
Can we show? Let's show this on screen, and we're gonna use my favorite source. It's Fox News. So
Yeah.
let's take a peek at this one. All right, you guys can all see it.
Yes.
Yeah. What a horrible interface.
Right.
And should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is a, this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States.
Okay, so I watched that thing 3 times.
Oh, I want to see the whole thing.
Well, that's Fox. That's all Fox News gives us. But
Canceled.
canceled. Yeah. Well, I think it's a pretty.
I don't give a shit.
Isn't this an easy
Do
answer?
you guys care? I mean, like you just say, I can't make a decision right now. I can't preempt it. Context matters. I suspect that we would have a very strong response, but I'm not going to, pre-commit what I think should happen before I see all the facts. I think you just say something like that.
I mean, so I don't know. This makes me think that she's not seriously considering a presidential run, because if she was, surely she would have prepared for that question before she went to that
Taiwan
conference, right?
question.
That's a big upcoming issue.
On a security conference. Yes.
I'm not. Listen, you guys can say that that's like, I'm doing too light of a, treatment of AOC, but to be honest, I think that a lot of these presidents, they're informed by their staff and by their, security people. And do I think that it's a bad moment? No doubt about that. But to be honest with you, I don't really give a fuck.
Peace
I
Corps.
mean,
Should the United States defend Taiwan if China decides to invade? Yes or no?
Hang on a second. So I think it depends on the context. I think it totally depends on the context.
China invades.
Yeah. So if China invades,
China wants them.
I think
juicy chips.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly predict all the multitude of different factors that would go into that decision, soy pill, and so I couldn't. It's too complicated of a question to answer. That's how I would answer it, something like that.
What if it happens tomorrow?
If it happened tomorrow, should we put troops into conflict with the Chinese? I don't fucking know. The answer is I don't fucking know. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know what the fucking smart strategy is, and you don't know what the fucking smart strategy is. Okay?
I would say
Ukraine?
we are committed to our allies and defending
Weren't we
our
committed
allies.
to Ukraine? So do you support Biden's decision not to commit troops to fight Russians in Ukraine?
I would commit.
Yes, we fucking were. Yes, we fucking were. Yes, we fucking were.
Calm down. We were never, ever, ever committed to American boots on the ground in Ukraine. We were committed to its independence and sovereignty. We have had a longstanding policy of being willing to commit troop boots on the ground in Taiwan, not Ukraine. That there is a difference.
Hang on a second. So we were committed, along with the Soviet Union and the successor Russian Federation, to the sovereignty of Ukraine. And to say that it's like that we should say, for sure we will commit troops to Taiwan if China invades, I'm not sure that that's a smart decision if you're going to be the next, commander in chief. I don't know that that would be smart. That's just me. That's my position. To be honest with you, I don't think it's that big of a deal for her to flub in that situation. And frankly, it's not that different to say something like what I proposed to like what was Vice President nominee, oh my God, Tim Walz and Kamala said in response to some of the different hypotheticals levied at them during the debates. It was a bunch of word salad nonsense, basically non-committal answers. That's what I expect from this kind of shit. And I expect that in any given real situation that they would be sort of briefed and given the best possible response.
Well, maybe not boots on the ground, but you could at least say we will commit to defending our allies and maintaining our treaties. That's a
that's like a nothing statement. Yeah, I mean, that's all it took. And so the difference between that is she looks weak, she looks like she's not prepared or whatever. But it's not like we're looking for the most coherent policy explanation of what would happen from a hypothetical, which, it seems like
very likely.
A very likely situation to say, if China invades right now, we know for certain that the right policy move is to put troops on the ground. I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't know.
Are you committed to that?
Specifically, boots on the ground is necessarily the right answer. I know what you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I would have said, what do you mean Taiwan? You mean China? And then just had an even bigger Fox News cycle,
so we're memeing. So we're memeing. And this is a kind of like whatever.
If Gavin Newsom, though, went to like an economic conference and then somebody asked him, would you keep our current tax brackets the way that they are or propose a different tax bracket? And then he fumbled through a non-answer. What would your response
attack lefties?
What? What would your response to that be? What would you think?
If he's fumbling on tax brackets?
Yeah, just a basic question. I mean, like
he should never fumble. He should never fumble. No, the question about specifically troops on the ground in Taiwan in response to an invasion, I think that is not in AOC's wheelhouse as much. And I would look over it. Gavin Newsom has made flubs before. Gavin Newsom has
not in her wheelhouse. What do you mean? She's a member of Congress.
Wait, hang on a second. The specific military situation in Taiwan and China, do you think that that's in AOC's wheelhouse? Do you agree that it's not in her wheelhouse?
No, of course it's in her wheelhouse. What do you mean? The Congress appropriates these funds. They would sign off on these kinds of things, right?
She's not a foreign policy guru. She's a domestic.
What are you talking? She's a member of Congress, Pisco. What are you talking about?
You understand that Congress people have different domains of expertise. You agree with that, don't you?
You would never say this to discredit her policy position on Israel, her policy position on Ukraine.
Hang on. Let's just I'm focusing on Hutch real quick. You understand that different. I'm going to finish Hutch. I'm going to finish the question. Hutch,
you would have to go through Congress. You would have to go through Congress.
Hutch, I'm going to finish the question. All right. The question is the following. You agree that different Congress people have different portfolios. Yes or no?
Yes.
And so you would agree, don't you, that part of the reason why AOC is out doing this may be to shore up her national security bona fides, right? Because it's not in her wheelhouse, correct?
No, I don't agree with that at all.
It is in her wheelhouse. So, okay. So every congressperson's wheelhouse is Taiwan, correct? I want you to say that. By virtue of being a member of Congress,
literally, yes.
Hutch. Okay, so when I say when I said it's in their wheelhouse, I didn't mean it's in their technical domain where they could conceivably legislate on it. Do you understand when I say wheelhouse? I mean it's not her area of expertise. It's not her area of domain, technical ability. Do you understand that? That's what I meant by that.
This is like one of the most important security, like national security in terms of like geopolitics.
What did I just say to you,
for
Hutch?
the United States? Pisco, if the president were to commit ground and troops in Taiwan, would they or would they not have to go to Congress?
Yeah. Oh, well, apparently not. Apparently not. Just to be clear, apparently not.
No,
but
we're
not enforcing. No. Apparently, we invaded. Wait. Hang on a second. We invaded Venezuela without any congressional approval. Yes or no?
No, this would be a protracted.
Did we have to?
This would be a protracted
fight with China. The answer that, Hutch, is unclear. So my question for you, Hutch,
it's unclear if it would be a protracted fight with China.
It's a very simple question. So is every topic of federal importance within the wheelhouse of every single Congress member, by which I mean
single
in their area
member of Congress.
Let me wait. Hutch. I'm going to finish the question.
No.
Hutch, I'm going to finish. Hutch, I'm finishing the question.
Hutch,
I'm finishing the question. I'm finishing the question. All right. So, do you think that every topic of federal domain is within the wheelhouse of AOC or any member of Congress? Yes or no?
All that involve Congress. Yes.
So you understand when I said wheelhouse, I just meant it's not. She doesn't know a lot about it. That's what I meant. It's not in her wheelhouse. And
Why
you
would
objected to that, correct?
That's difficult for me to understand. Like, why would you not know much about the dynamic with Taiwan and China and our longstanding agreement with Taiwan if you're a member of Congress?
Wait, because it's not her area of expertise. Agreed?
Okay, well,
wait, Hutch.
She could be called.
Wait a second.
Vote on it tomorrow, Pisco. She should know at least something.
100%, but there's things called specialization. There's things called committees, and not every Congress member is read up in
That's
like
what
a policy domain expert on every single issue. And you guys are lying to yourselves and your audiences if you disagree with that.
So I was going to actually just jump in because she's members of she's a member of like a few committees, 3 or 4 committees. None of them are Homeland Security or foreign affairs. That being said, this is not her wheelhouse because she didn't make it her wheelhouse.
So you disagree, Hutch? Wait, you disagree with Hutch? Just real quick, Jose. I just want to be clear. You disagree with Hutch when Hutch said, "Of course it's in her wheelhouse." You disagree with that, right, Jose?
Here, I'm gonna explain why I said
yes.
that. And I'm gonna explain why. So here's the problem. This is not her wheelhouse. So why is she going to the Munich Security Conference when she knows this is not part of her expertise? She's going to be asked on foreign security affairs, on homeland, on things that have to do with security around the world, and she doesn't know anything about it. And it was clearly an issue when she was asked. So why would you show up and be like, if you just want to be an audience member or accompany someone, cool. But why are you now a main speaker talking about foreign affairs when you don't know anything about it?
So listen, no doubt that this little segment you've seen, you're claiming it's representative. Let's say that she flubbed up the whole thing and that this clip that you've shown is representative of her broader position there. And I'll ask the question, actually, is this representative of her overall performance throughout the whole thing?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I've seen 3 clips.
Well, and then I'll ask Hutch. Is this representative of her overall thing? Same. So given that, I'm not sure.
I haven't seen one good clip. I haven't seen one good clip. I'll say that.
Maybe there's a reason for that, but I'll grant to you that it was a bad showing. That the whole thing was a bad showing. To me, like, is that the most important aspect of who I want to be the leader of the Democratic Party? The answer to that question is no. The answer to that question is fucking no. How many times, by the way, have we seen politicians flub up answers, not be domain experts in given areas? I would vote for someone like AOC or someone who's more domestic focused for those strengths. And I would hope that they would shore up their other bona fides through the course of experience. And that, by the way, was something that was done with Obama. Obama was noted to be inexperienced, and sometimes that actually did show. And you know how he shored up his inexperience in foreign policy? He picked Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who does have domain expertise in foreign policy, who was on those committees, and contrary to Hutch's view that every congressperson wheelhouse is everything, actually did have some specific expertise there.
What I'm saying is, let me clarify. I'm not saying this is disqualifying. Like, I didn't watch this and think, oh, I could never support her, in a primary or a general. Like, that's obviously not what I'm saying. What it did make me do was pause a little bit and question why she didn't do more to prepare for a question that she was very likely to be asked. I mean, this particular issue, would America commit to boots on the ground, in a military confrontation with the second largest superpower in the world if they were to invade Taiwan? I mean, everybody that serves in Congress knows that this is, a relevant issue that is always salient to one degree or another. And I did feel a little disappointed and slightly embarrassed for her that she didn't seem to prepare for that question.
She had a brain fart.
Pisco. I do want to add one thing. I do think she's smart enough and knows a lot more than this clip let on, to be clear. I think she was being cautious of anything, and this was indicative of her saying, wow, I really don't want to be clipped, saying I'll commit to boots on the ground in Taiwan without fully knowing whether or not that's our policy position. And she didn't know a good way to articulate that. Because you know what the other Fox News clip would have been in the other situation is AOC commits to going to World War III with China at the Munich Security Conference, right? So I'm not saying
so
she's completely
fucking
uninformed.
Funny how it really is a double standard. I have to talk about it. Like, no doubt a bad showing in terms of this clip. I haven't seen the rest of it or whatever. But the double standard is palpable. I mean, Joe Biden says we finally beat Medicare, and like it's half the time sounding nonsensical in response to the shit. And we are willing to put that like, oh, it doesn't matter. He has gurus. Oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever the fuck. And he has brain farts where he's literally catatonic staring at shit, to say nothing of Kamala Harris, who I, again, think is honorable and noble. And like, yeah, you want to know how much fucking word salad answers, rambling shit, which I wouldn't do anything differently than Biden. Whatever. We did everything perfectly. Yeah, these are fucking brain farts, but you raise the importance of it so much when it's a lefty, Hutch, because you have a vendetta against lefties. You have a vendetta against Hassan Piker, and that's what's going on here.
I think it's important to note. I think it's important to note that when people say that about Joe Biden and people say that about Kamala Harris, you can offset it with accomplishments. We don't have that with AOC. AOC hasn't gotten a single bill out of committee or have a single bill to her name that has become law. And she's been in Congress for how long? So so if okay, we can say, yeah, you know what, maybe foreign policy is in her wheelhouse, but what about her job? Why can't she get a bill out of committee?
Yeah, no, that's fine. She hasn't had executive experience. She also hasn't been there as long as Joe Biden did when he got into executive power with the vice presidency and then the presidency. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how much you're going to read into a brain fart or a misspeak. And it's fucking embarrassing that we would.
Well, it's not about reading so much into it. It's just that, okay, like we could chalk it up and say, you know what, maybe she wasn't prepared at that moment, or maybe she just had a little brain fart, or maybe she just didn't want to be overly committed to a particular position. We get that. But then my follow-up is like, okay, but what do we have that to balance with? What accomplishments does she have where we can say, okay, you know what, this was just a fluke because she has these other things to lean on. We don't have those other things to lean on.
Well, she's a base Democratic member. She's a base Democratic member, and I don't know what we're considering for at the moment. Are we considering her for leadership of the country? You're speaking specifically in the event that she runs for president?
Her job, the job that she currently holds
as a Congress member. Yeah,
right.
No. Do you want to understand how fucking stupid 95% of Congress sounds at any given moment? It is embarrassing to watch them in any fucking committee about anything tech related, anything economic related. They're old, reading from fucking papers, and they sound like they're idiots. And half of them are fucking idiots, low IQ morons, in my opinion. And we're going to sit here and say she's not qualified to be a member of Congress? It's a joke.
No, I didn't say she wasn't qualified. I didn't say she wasn't qualified.
Are you questioning her ability to be in the Congress and to be a base member in Congress? That's what I asked you. Are you considering her for national leadership or for the job she currently holds?
No. If she runs for president, she wins the nomination, I would gladly support her. What my issue is that, okay, she is not prepared to run for the presidency because she's going to be raked through the coals. Because when you have a Joe Biden gaffe, when you have a Kamala Harris gaffe, they have a series of accomplishments. Even if Barack Obama had made a gaffe, he had accomplishments in the Senate and in the House before that. AOC doesn't have that. She is not anchored to something. My recommendation for her is to get into a foreign affairs committee, figure out what the issue is, come up with a bipartisan bill, come up with a bill that can build bipartisan support, and then move on to the Senate or run against Chuck Schumer before getting to the presidency.
So in virtue of this answer, when you're really, she's needing to give a nothing statement. Like what she has to give is something like, I wouldn't like prejudge any sort of situation. It would be a very strong response. That's all I can say. It would be a very strong response. That's what she should have said. And if she had said that nothing statement, none of you guys would be saying this shit. But because she has a little bit of a moment, now you're turning into
no. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If you go through my Twitter, you'll see that my hope for her is that she runs and beats Chuck Schumer, because I want Chuck Schumer out of there. Yeah, that's what I want. And then to run for the presidency.
And Pisco, to be clear, I didn't bring this up because I'm like, AOC's fumbling and she sucks. I still like AOC. I was just like, oh, this looked bad. That's the only
I like AOC too. I like her.
But there's a broader significance to what Hutch. You think that this is a broader significant moment that like it shows some like no. That's exactly what you are suggesting. 100%.
When I said that this is not disqualifying in the sense that I would never consider voting for her in the primary, I'm being honest. I don't know why you're having this reaction. I said it was a bad moment.
It was a bad moment. You are suggesting that this is like calling into question her bona fides. I mean, really, to me, this is a nothing moment. Who the fuck cares? You flubbed on some nothing answer to a question that no one expects to be a straightforward answer. I'm going to be honest. You go to these conferences just to like talk at each other.
I think this particular issue, or the question about how far America would go to protect Taiwan, this has been a very important issue in terms of geopolitics for decades. And so the idea that, she wasn't prepared for that did make me pause for a minute and go, wow, that's not the best moment that she had. But again, I never said that it was disqualifying. I don't think she should be like kicked out of Congress. I would vote for her if she was the nominee. I wouldn't discount the idea of voting for her to be the nominee if I
So you
thought
think it's no big deal, right? I mean, it's no big deal.
I agree.
You agree with
Disco.
that?
It's
I
no
did
big
not.
deal.
I did not
Let's
say
move
it's not a
on.
big deal.
It's no.
I did-
Wait. So is it a big deal or not, Hutch?
It's concerning, is what I would say.
What in what respect is it concerning, Hutch?
I've explained it to you. You're
No, I
upset.
haven't. I don't understand. So it's
You should
concerning
calm
because
down.
why?
Calm down.
Wait, why is it
You're way
concerning,
too
Hutch?
worked up about this.
Hutch. Why is it concerning? Why is it a big
I
deal?
just explained it to you. Do you want me to repeat
It's
myself?
a big deal because people know about the issue and she
It's a
flubbed
big
an
deal
answer.
because it's a big deal because this particular issue with respect to Taiwan is a big deal. It's a big deal. Pisco, it's not a
So
small
anything
deal.
anything you say about an issue that is a big deal, that itself is a big deal, just
You know
because
what?
you fuck up something related to a big
I'm
deal.
really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I take it
No,
back.
this is performative. Just actually have the
No,
conversation.
this isn't-
It's
you're
not a big
not
deal.
performative right now. You're not being performative
You're
right now.
saying you're
Please
saying
go. We have
hang on.
9
You're
minutes
saying
left.
it's
Last
you're
topic.
saying it's a big.
Can we
It is
move
your
on?
position, Hutch, that it's a big deal, right? You're saying it's concerning.
I take it back.
Like
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It actually,
no,
it
no,
actually-
hang on a second.
It's not a big
This
deal.
is
We
so
can all
bad
agree.
faith. It
it's
is
not a big
so
deal.
bad
my
faith.
opinion
No,
of her
because-
went
Can
up
I just
after this.
say-
I take my mind. I change my
Wait,
mind.
no. Hang on. This sarcastic
Okay,
shit
leave
doesn't
him
work
alone.
for you,
Be
bro.
normal. Be normal. Be
Hey,
normal.
hey,
Be
hey,
normal.
hey,
Please be normal.
hang on a
Please be normal.
second.
Please be normal. Please be normal.
So
Please
just
be
to be
normal.
clear,
I'm gonna give you
Hutch,
the ogre
your
boy
actual.
treatment here.
I just want the actual unironic position. And in terms of severity of big deal, where would you rank this?
A 4
Unironic, a 4
out of
big
10.
deal.
Out of 10.
A 4 out of 10 big deal.
She-
Because she flubbed the line.
Okay.
That's fucking
Yes.
stupid.
She's 36 years old. This is her first venture out on the international stage. I think she actually did a good job in some of her other appearances. She sat down with Gretchen Whitmer and Matthew Whitaker, and I think she held her own just talking about income inequality. But I don't think she's running for president. I think people are like trying to push her into this role. I think she's running for Senate, like Jose said. It's in 2 years against Chuck Schumer. I think he might even bow out and say, I'm done and I'm going to hand it over and let Dan Goldman and her and whoever else fight for it. And then let her get a couple years in the Senate. And then when she's 45, she can run for
Based.
president. So I think we're just
I
debating
think
something
that's
that's
based.
that's not really
I
happening.
That doesn't
agree.
matter. Yeah, it's no big
I
deal. I
agree.
agree. 100%.
I agree.
We all agree.
Can
No
we
big
have
deal.
time for one last lib left contentious
100%.
points? All right. I saw someone. Actually, no, it was Hassan. Hassan was talking about
Oh my God.
Gavin
We
Newsom.
need to get off
No,
this
no,
guy's
this is the
dick.
Gavin Newsom thing. It's not a Hassan thing. He said Gavin Newsom doesn't support the billionaire tax, and I did some research. And as someone who thinks that the concept of billionaires is disgusting and that we should redistribute wealth better, I think I'm also anti-billionaire tax. I don't think the wealth tax works. I've yet to
Wow.
be shown that the outcome is what I would want, which is the redistribution. It seems like, especially with this retroactive one in California, that all it's going to do is make a lot of them move, which actually just decreases tax revenue. But I wanted to know your guys' thoughts. Is it a good thing? Not in concept, because in concept I agree. Get these billionaires wealth and give it to things that matter. But in execution, it seems like this is not the best policy. I wanted to know your guys' thoughts.
I get really frustrated because I feel like there's so much like nonsense thought terminating accusations that go on if you have a policy disagreement. So if you say, for example, like what you just said, and I assume you're basing this off the fact that there were, I think, like 4 or 5 European countries, that, including Sweden, that tried
France,
a billionaire
Sweden,
tax.
Norway, yeah.
They found that it was like the juice was not worth the squeeze. What they found was that, number one, like there's a number of reasons, but there was capital flight, but there was also the fact that to tax billionaires in that kind of way, their finances and assets are so insanely complicated that they hire these like entire firms of accounting, people that do accounting. And they have to hire, so the state has to hire like scores of people to dive into their books and everything. But either way, like I'm not literate enough economically to give an opinion one way or another. All I know is that there are European countries that tried it and didn't work for them and they repealed it. But if you oppose a billionaire tax, you immediately get labeled as somebody who, you know, wants to cater to billionaires. Like that's what's frustrating about this intra-party kind of fighting that goes on in times like these. You know, like if you support a public option versus a Medicare for all, well, that means you don't want people to have healthcare. Like all of these policy disagreements get framed in this really binary way, and it's incredibly frustrating and I think destructive and counterproductive.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, because I'm like anti-billionaire should exist, and yet I'm going to get framed as like a centrist for saying what I just said. But Guy, what do you think?
Well, I'm with you. I think you should go straight to prison if you get one more dollar over $999 million. I don't see any value in billionaires, but I understand. I think the argument from Newsom is, look, they're just going to move to another state like Florida, whatever. So we need a national tax if we're going to do that. That's why we're against it here. I think Dan Goldman, congressman from New York, has a good idea. He calls it the Robin Hood Act, and it's to tax the loans that billionaires take out on their portfolios. He says it can generate about $40 billion. So I think maybe we should focus on stuff like that first. That's a little more palatable than going after unrealized capital gains.
Yeah, loans, land taxes, more on the companies. Like I'm for the taxes. I just want something that works. Jose, what do you think?
I think he better come up with some good talking points why he opposed it and something that's digestible for folks. I personally don't think it was the biggest deal over here in California, but I do think that he can definitely get labeled as being pro-billionaire very quickly in the primary. So I think it's definitely incumbent upon him to come up with, again, a very bite-sized way to kind of explain that vote in a way that doesn't just, you don't get, your eyes don't glaze over as he's explaining it.
So he needs a better answer than his when they asked him about AIPAC funding, and he's like, "That's interesting."
Yeah, he definitely needs a better answer than that.
That's an interesting question.
To call Newsom pro-billionaire when we have the highest marginal tax rate of any state is fucking so stupid. But whatever.
But it could happen. It could definitely happen.
I mean, ultimately, on some level, I totally agree with Hutch that like the litmus test for some of this shit, where if you're against the policy, it must be because you love evilness and you want rich people to like lord over the serfs or whatever. I think that's a bit silly. I do think that it's important for him to have good answers on it. I think it's a decent good chance that it's unconstitutional and unlawful to excise such a tax, just based on the overall wealth of an individual. Or I don't know what the metrics were in that specific law. You guys will have to train me. But maybe I would be in favor of testing its legality. If for anything, it might have some impetus for us to have the much needed court reform that Josiah and I have been fighting about. But I do think that one answer you could give if you're new. Oh, did you just get an idea, Hutch?
No, we didn't even talk about it. But Obama came out and was pushing for Democrats to get rid of the filibuster.
Oh yeah, that was based.
I don't know. Maybe we save that for the next one.
That gave a permission structure for us libs, of course, to support it. No, but we've always supported it. And
that's what you took away from the podcast. He said aliens are real, man.
Aliens are real.
He clarified.
Mathematically impossible.
I just meant statistically.
I don't know if you saw, but he clarified. He said, just to be clear, he never saw any evidence of aliens. It's just that the universe is so infinitely vast, and the reason why we haven't seen aliens is because the galaxies are moving away from each other faster than the speed of light or whatever.
He knows the Drake equation. It's just
the Drake equation. No, we should but that means we should have heard by now, and we haven't. So that makes me.
Fermi paradox paired with the Drake equation, right? We can't we can't break because there's the great filter, right? Either these civilizations destroy themselves, or speed of light is insurmountable, and it doesn't matter that they exist. They're just so far away, we'll just never see each other.
I am afraid that that's where we're at. Maybe there's some wormhole or something that we can go into, and maybe if we do that, we can get away from this fucking.
Think about this. Think about this, guys. Think about this. Trillions, hundreds of trillions and trillions and trillions of years from now, the galaxies will be so far apart that you literally won't be able to see the other galaxies. And when life springs into existence during these times, and that evolves into intelligent life, and they're looking up at the stars, they're not going to even fucking know that they're a part of a vast, infinite universe. How crazy is that? Anyways, Jose, where can people find you on social media? Thanks for coming on today.
Oh,
they're not going to know that Hassan is evil. How will they go on?
All right, you can find me on Instagram at Jose Can You See By. That's BY. Or Jose Can You See _ on TikTok, or just Jose Can You See on Twitter.
And Josiah wants to know: do you support expanding SCOTUS? Yes or no?
It's not going to happen, but yeah.
No, answer it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Jose. It's been a pleasure. I'm still, guys. Awesome. I haven't asked you guys. I've been asking chat. If you saw me typing, I'm trying to figure out who the fuck Jose looks like. He looks like an actor. He looks a little bit like Juice from Sons of Anarchy, but it's someone else. It's some teacher character, and I'd spent on the tip of my tongue.
Character
for like 2 hours. It's not maybe from Spider-Man. I don't know. Anyway,
I think you're just being racist.
What the fuck?
What the hell? Look, I said all white people look the same, so that's a fair criticism of me. Guy, what's going on with you this week?
Nothing exciting here with my regular gig. I'll just be continuing to debate MAGA over on TikTok, so make sure you guys follow. I'm really important on TikTok. I got my side gig this weekend. We'll be doing a giant arena somewhere in North America. That's all I'll say.
I love that you call it your side gig. It's like, it's just me with the.
They pay him, bro. They pay him to come out there.
And I go, it's like, yeah, it's my side gig. I tour with these rock stars.
So, do you remember the music video for Pretty Fly for a White Guy back in the day?
Yeah.
Does Guy look a little familiar to you?
Well, I don't remember it that well. I just know the song, but I will. I'll have
go
to
to
check
the
it
music
out.
video.
Okay.
You're in the rock royalty right now. You're among giants.
Okay.
Pisco, what's going on with you this week?
Yeah, we just had that conversation with Michael Tracy. I thought it was a really uncomfortable one, so you maybe should watch it when we put it up, I think tomorrow. And then we have some other collabs coming up soon, so just check it out. And guys, it's just memes. I love these kinds of discussion debates.
Is Hutch your boy?
You know,
Yes or no?
Hutch is my boy. Soy Pill, he's my guy, and IRI, he's my brother. So I do appreciate. He's my brother. I said he's my bro.
Okay.
But it was such a pleasure having Jose on because seriously, we need to have more Latinx representation on the podcast, and I think it's pretty upsetting that it's just me on here.
We're the 50% of the podcast, Pisco, me and you.
Oh, I forgot that you are too.
Yeah, exactly. Let's stop with this Latinx erasure, dude. Come on.
Apologies. All right, but it was great to have you on, and we should talk again soon.
Definitely.
Everyone
so
follow
much,
Jose.
dude.
I'll be following him on Twitter too.
Oh, I gotta do that. Hutch, what are you doing this week?
Listen, I've gone really like demon mode for the last week and just fully obsessing on this like fight. So we'll probably calm that down over the next few days. People can find me on the streams, youtube.com/Hutch, twitch.tv/Hutch, starting tomorrow around 8:30 or 9 a.m. Pacific. I'll say thank you again for coming on. It was really nice to meet you finally. I mean, I've been following you for a really long time and valued your insight. And so it was good to get an opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys.
No.
Hutch, you're like the drunk girl, like Saturday morning. Like, I'm never getting drunk again. I'm never fighting with leftists ever again.
I would never commit to not fighting with leftists ever again. Though.
Never. I calling for a total ceasefire in the Civil War. It's never.
The thing is,
again.
when Hutch saw that clip, because honestly, it's just a shock. It's not a shocking answer, but it's really a horrible answer from Hassan. Hutch, you must have been delighted because that is the kind of thing that you've been fighting against for months. And I join you on that fight.
I was furious. I was not delighted, but I take your point.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, excited about the possible content and also mad about the position. Oh, Randy Fine. Wait. Before we leave, did you guys see the Randy Fine shit? The tweet.
Dogs and Muslims. That one.
What the fuck? I feel like that has not even been talked about. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
I don't have anything special except for Lena Hidalgo, Texas judge, is coming on a special exclusive DLC spinoff Live and Learn episode Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll be talking to her about ICE, local politics, Trump, and all sorts of stuff. A guy may or may not make it. I know Hutch and Pisco are committed and they have it in their calendars. So they didn't act surprised at all when I brought it up today. So they're definitely going to be there. But guys, tune in for an extra special double Live and Learn this week.
Real quick, like when we say judge, it's kind of like a special term of art for the position in Texas. So it's not like she's like a judicial role. It's more of a political state role. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, and that'll be this Wednesday.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jose, and everyone else have a